not going to watch all of this. We're researching Venezuela today. I got a bunch of things I need to look into. Juan Orlando Hernandez. Juan Orlando Hernandez is the Honduran president. So Juan Orlando Hernandez is the one that they, under the Biden admin, they locked him up. They indicted him the same day Kamala Harris had a interview with Xiomara Chavez Castro, same thing. Castro. Same day she has a meeting with him, they indict. He was the incoming president, but he had already won. He was the new president. And Hernandez gets indicted. So a new guy's taking over power. Juan Orlando Hernandez.
The boat strikes. The defense secretary, should he testify, Pete Hegseth, under oath before Congress about that controversial second strike on the alleged drug boat on October?
I don't care if he does. He can if he wants. I don't care.
Do you think he should?
I don't care. I would say do it if you want, Pete. He's doing a great job.
Have you watched the video?
We're stopping. I watched everything, yeah. I watch everything. I see a lot of things.
And do you believe that that second strike was necessary?
Well, it looked like they were trying to turn back over the boat, but I don't get involved in that. That's up to them.
Well, also, the boat is the target. Sink the boat. Target is sink the boat. We hit the target, which is sinking the boat. Boat isn't sunk yet. We shoot again. Those guys survived the first attack in the water. They were swimming back to the boat. Shouldn't have swam back to the boat, buddy. Should have taken your chance with a shark. Those are enemy combatants. Terrorists are enemy combatants, and they were labeled terrorists. Tren de Aragua drug smugglers. Why did I freeze and do blue steel for a second? I don't know.
The admiral that did that is a highly respected, as you know, a highly respected man. And we save 25,000 people every time we knock out a boat. On average, they kill 25,000 Americans. So, you know, I don't like doing that, but...
Before I do research, I'm trying to think of best arguments. It's imperialist. Trump lied to us.
The drugs coming in through the sea are down by 92%. And I'm trying to figure out the 8%. Who are they? Nobody wants to drive boats to America loaded up with drugs anymore.
Well, I do want to ask,
and we're going to hit them on land very soon, too.
Almost all the illicit fentanyl in the United States is actually produced in Mexico using precursor chemicals from China, according to the DEA. And Venezuela isn't a significant source.
Coffee that breaks the mold.
They're bringing cocaine, and a lot of that cocaine has fentanyl mixed into it.
Or transit country for fentanyl that barely appears on the DEA's trafficking assessments.
Yeah. Well, they do send lots of drugs. Those boats come in largely from Venezuela, so I would say that's a significant. And you can see the drugs. You can see these bags all over the boat. I mean, just bags and bags.
So if it's about drugs,
bags.
would you consider...
But let me tell you what they do. They send really bad people into our country. And they've done it better than anybody else. They emptied their prisons into our country, and these prisons are seriously tough. They entered, all of their prisons have been emptied into the United States of America. Murderers, 11,888 murderers.
So is this about making sure Maduro sees justice, then?
11,888 murderers were entered into our country. And Stupid Joe took all those people, and now we're getting them out. We're finding them. We found a lot of them, and we're getting them out, or we're putting them in jail. Some are so dangerous and so bad that we don't want to put them back to their country because they'll find a way to get back in. But these are stone cold murderers. But every time we knock out a boat, we save 25,000 American lives.
So would you consider doing something similar with Mexico and Colombia that are even more responsible for fentanyl trafficking into the U.S.?
Sure, I would.
You pardoned former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez and let him out of prison, even though he was convicted in a massive international drug trafficking scheme. How is that zero tolerance on drug trafficking?
Well, I don't know him, and I know very little about him. Other than people said it was like...
The media is doing their thing again, so I don't think I was keeping my files. I don't think I was keeping my files when we were talking about the Venezuelan prisons and asylums being emptied, and they showed the empty prisons. The prisoners took over one of the prisons, and then they were jumping on the trains and they were riding into America. And now I'm trying to find that, and it won't tell me anything about that. All it's telling me is 3 days ago, Venezuela emptied some political prisoners. I'm not looking for 3 days ago. I'm looking for years ago. (2026, 2024). This damn AI is not giving me what I want. Okay, here's Congressman Pfluger from the 11th District of Texas on Venezuelan prisoner caravans coming to U.S. southern border. Congressman August Pfluger, the top Republican on the House Homeland Security, Intelligence, and Counterterrorism Subcommittee, sent a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas regarding the recent Department of Homeland Security intelligence report indicating that the Maduro regime is releasing violent prisoners from Venezuela to be sent in migrant caravans to the southwest border. President Biden's open border policies have allowed millions of illegal immigrants, including criminals, from other countries across the U.S. border. I write with great concern for the safety and security of the American people. Since President Biden entered office, there have been nearly 3.4 million migrant encounters at the southwest border, an additional 900,000 known gotaways who evaded U.S. Border Patrol agents. Separately, 78 people whose names appear on the terror screening data set were encountered attempting to cross the U.S.-Mexico border between ports of entry this fiscal year to date. The policies this administration has implemented regarding our immigration and border security are encouraging foreign terrorist organizations, FTOs, and transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, to take advantage of our vulnerable southwest border. In a frightening new development, the illegitimate regime of Nicolas Maduro Moros in Venezuela may now be deliberately sending violent criminals to our border. There have been reports of a recent Department of Homeland Security intelligence report indicating that the Maduro regime is releasing violent prisoners from Venezuela to be sent in migrant caravans to the southwest border. Allegedly, the intelligence report directs Border Patrol agents to search for Venezuelan convicts, including possible FTO and TCO affiliates attempting to enter the U.S. Despite this, however, it is particularly difficult for Border Patrol agents to identify Venezuelans with terrorist affiliations and criminal records, given poor diplomatic relations and gaps in information sharing between the United States and Venezuela. We have previously seen the dangerous consequences that a lack of intelligence sharing creates. In April 2022, due to the Biden administration's policies, the Border Patrol released Insardo Garcia Amando into the United States. 3 days later, is this the dude that murdered 43 people? Garcia Amando was flagged by the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Terror Screening Center as a positive match within the TSDS. It took 2 more weeks for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to arrest this individual. Garcia Amando is a Colombian citizen, a country that has relatively robust information sharing relationship with the United States. This gap in security and intelligence underscores the lack of visibility the Department of Homeland Security likely has into how many individuals present within the TSDS have been permitted to enter the country under the Biden administration's watch. What is TSDS? Terrorist Screening Center within the TSDS data system. Terrorist screening data set. Okay. Number of Venezuelan migrants encountered by U.S. Customs and Borders Protection has increased nearly 3,000% from 2020 to 2022. Given the reports of the deliberate nefarious actions of the illegitimate Maduro regime, it is more important than ever that CBP has the tools and capabilities in place to identify foreign violent criminals. Okay. Criminals released. This is September 2022. 2022. Intelligence report. What's up, me, myself, and I?
Like a Obama-Biden type setup where he was set up. He was the president of the country. The country deals in drugs like probably you could say that about every country. And because he was the president, they gave him like 45 years in prison. And there are many people fighting for Honduras, very good people that I know, and they think he was treated horribly, and they asked me to do it, and I said, I'll do it.
Do you think that could send the wrong message to...
Coffee that breaks the mold. Discover flavors you'll savor. Get your hands on gourmet flavored coffee that's anything but ordinary. Try it today.
No, I don't think so. Look, I think, when you weaponize government, they've weaponized their government just like they did over here. I'm one of the people that survived. They weaponized the government. We had the most weaponized
I got to look into that shadow fleet thing, too.
They went after me. I was impeached twice. I was indicted. They indicted me. I came out good. Here we are in the White House. Things are looking nice, but they were vicious, and they are vicious. They're sick people.
We've talked a lot about foreign policy. You've spent a ton of your first year focused on those conflicts around the world, and that has led to some concerns, even from your own supporters, that there hasn't been enough focus on some of the issues here at home. I know that this week you're going back out on the trail, giving me flashbacks of covering your rallies here. You're hitting the road to talk about the economy. I wonder, sir, what grade would you give your economy right now?
Before I answer that, let me just tell you something. I've watched stupid people like Marjorie Trader Green, or some people call her Taylor Green.
Dang, Marjorie Trader Green.
Because
I never liked
green
her.
Sometimes turns to brown, which isn't nice.
Green sometimes turns to brown? What?
He spends too much time on
What does that
foreign.
mean?
Well, by doing that, and first of all, it doesn't take a lot of time. I made one trip. I brought back trillions of dollars on that one trip. I stopped in Japan. I stopped in South Korea. I met with President Xi and ended what could have been a big problem.
You went to the Middle East. I was on that trip with you.
Went to the Middle East. I brought back $3 trillion from the Middle East. I sold many Boeing airplanes on that trip, like 300. When I go on a trip, I only have one place in mind. It's the United States. So when, people with low IQs like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a low IQ person.
Joining us now, GOP Kansas Senator.
Coffee that breaks the mold. Discover flavors
When I go on a
you'll savor.
trip, I only
Get
have
your-
one place in mind. That's the United States of America. Okay.
Let's see what our old boy Nick said yesterday.
How do you feel about Sneako's hard stance on the Venezuela intervention? Seems to be in line with others like Glenn Greenwald, Dave Smith, and others. Ignore if you hit this in the monologue.
Yeah, I like Sneako, but I disagree with him vehemently. And I really respect Glenn Greenwald. I really like him a lot. I really like Dave.
I spoke to him once.
He's great. I like all of these.
And Dave Smith, man. Dave Smith is one of the only people really standing strong on being anti-war. Has not sold out on that. And I love what he's doing, trolling Dan Bongino like that. Dan Bongino is crashing out. Former deputy director of the FBI cannot stand one comedian. One Jewish comedian in New York City is all it takes for Dan Bongino to block all of Twitter and lose his mind slowly. But I mean, you really deserve it. I mean, I don't wish anybody's downfall, but after covering up for that, you do deserve backlash.
Dave is a libertarian. Glenn Greenwald, he's liberal. Like, he's a left-wing guy.
Is he?
Sneako is sort of a left-leaning guy. And
This is what I'm talking about, bro. I'm left-leaning. So look.
You are
When
left.
the Sun fans see me in New York, they say, I miss the old Sneako. Like, dude, what happened to the old guy before you went down the alt-right red pill pipeline? I'm like, what do you mean? Well, tell me what you mean specifically, because I want to.
You think Nick couldn't tell you what he means?
They get mad. I'm like,
I promise Nick could articulate exactly what he means. We're going to go up to about here. What the heck is
We
this?
have got to the point where literally anybody can build.
Shut up. They're trying to teach me how to.
I hate him for it, but like, dude, what's going on? Of course, I would play Phasmophobia. It seems like he wants to start streaming more and do more gaming.
even though we disagree, even though Sneako is drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit on Venezuela, I still love the guy. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy. He's a good streamer. I got to get on Kick.
I say he was watching the monkey content. It's like, I can't imagine I'm there like rizzing girls, like, using Duke voice. Like my most brain rot content he's watching. What did I say on Monkey? I go, you ever been with an Asian guy before? Shit, yeah, come fuck with me. Come fuck with me. My name, they call me the Asian Duke, you heard? Come on, come fly to Miami. Come on, sweetheart, what's going on? Haha, I got 6 kids, I'm a grown-ass man. You want to take my sushi roll? I'm doing the most stupid content ever. But you do forget that, as a streamer, sometimes when it's like 2 a.m. or something, you're like, all right, it's just the chat in here. Anybody and everybody can be watching at all times.
I got to get on Kick. My next play is I'm taking over Kick. I'm going to take over Kick. 2026, more gaming streams, more...
If this doesn't seem relevant, it is. This is, Sneako is taking the anti-war side. Nick is responding to him and saying why. And Nick has been critical of Trump lately. And Nick is very anti-war, not hawkish, not like a neocon. But Nick's saying the same thing I'm saying. Like, let's go. Like, this is not American first. America first. Venezuelans are the easiest target to send a message to. All the other biggest offenders that policing their shadow fleet schemes will hurt more than sanctions. When we've already had sanctions on them, and they didn't honor the sanctions. I have something written down about that somewhere. Sanctions were not followed. I have a note about that somewhere. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, this is different. Maduro blames American sanctions for why his country was failing. That's not a good argument. That sanctions are the reason Venezuela was failing. It's because his country was collapsing and he decided to raise taxes. They had already tried printing more money. They had already tried borrowing. They didn't have those options anymore. All they could do is tax the people heavily, and they way overtaxed people. And then there was an uprising, the El Caracazo. 200 people die. Hugo Chavez gets out of prison and gets in after El Caracazo, after the uprising. And him or Maduro raises taxes. Who raises taxes? Or no, Maduro started printing more money. Perez Jimenez is the one that raised the taxes. Maduro printed more money. 2 million% inflation in 4 years. Crazy. Crazy. Dollar lost 90% of its value every 10 minutes. Sent you a thing. I'll look at it later. Or individual. Maduro blames American sanctions. Trump's sanctions took place in 2017, long after the Bolivar dropped 90% of its value every 10 minutes. Long after. And then Obama sanctions were individual sanctions, which wouldn't affect the inflation of the nation.
Commentary. I'm taking over Kick.
So it wasn't American sanctions that caused it.
Aiden, hook me up.
Hey, how do we tell you, bro? It's tough out here. You got to gamble, man. You better get ready to spin slots. You want to make bread on here? Yeah, bro. This ain't, it's not what you think it is anymore. It's 2026. If you are not clicking fruit, you are not getting no deal. You are not getting, it's, be happy with the KCIP and just shut up. That's what you got to do. That's what, yeah. It's tough out here.
Make me a partner. I don't know what is going on there, but I want a Kick deal. I want to earn on Kick. I know I would be the biggest streamer there. Please.
Not
Hook
gambling.
A brother up. Hook a brother up, my friend. Please, Aiden Ross, if you can hear me, please save me. Please, Aiden Ross, get me a partnership on Kick. But I want to take over. We'll see, though. But hey, shout out Sneeko.
Let's go. Let's go. Shout out, Nick.
What?
But I think this is going to be a year of refinement. And we have to lay down the law that this is a right-wing movement. It is an Israel-critical movement. We seek to counter Jewish power and the Jewish oligarchy. But it is a
heroin addict in the chat just said, I miss the old Sneeko. Yeah, maybe that's why you're a heroin addict. What do you...
right-wing realist movement. It is a pro-America movement. It is a movement that is not naive about the nature of the world and the nature of other countries. And if you think this is a place where we're going to come around and tell America to get to the back of the line and submit their concerns to the United Nations, and we're going to go and cape and die for the sovereignty of third world countries filled with illiterate peasants that don't even know how to read or write, this is just not the movement for you. Communists, liberals, leftists, that's down the hall to the left. If you're
I think this communist, liberal, leftist stuff, I think he's, yeah, a lot of that's divisive. And
it's divisive. Sneeko's mad because he's a leftist.
They want you to be divided. They want you to right, left, and ignore the bigger problem.
Kind of America hater from some third world country.
Deep.
If you're from Europe, you hate American power, you're threatened by American power. This is not the movement for you. This is a movement for U.S. citizens. This is a movement for Americans.
I can understand what he's saying if there's an actual strategic benefit, but I haven't seen it yet. What is the benefit? What have we gained from Venezuela? So right now the vice president's in charge, And Trump is bragging and saying that he's now the temporary
Oil,
interim leader of Venezuela. So far,
less
you know,
debt.
what has been a week, 2 weeks? What have we gained?
Less criminals
Has there been
coming
anything?
into the country, less drugs
It's a
coming
movement
into
for
the country.
right-wing Americans.
Less
They
of our
want America
enemies
to have
backing
primacy
a
over
nation
the
right
entire
outside of our
planet.
country.
And this is what I don't understand.
Less
Is that
of,
we've been critical of Trump. We
somebody right
understand
outside
that Trump
our
is
country
completely
who
controlled by
controls
Israel.
one of the biggest
Completely.
oil supplies
But this
in
is
the
the
world.
first time in his second term that it's like, okay, but this one was good. So
Collapsing
if we
our
understand
dollar
that everything he's
through
doing so far
BRICS.
is for the benefit of Israel, if he's controlled.
There's a lot of benefits that come from it, Sneeko. I was trying to pause, but I have too many windows open. I couldn't get to it. So I was talking while he was talking. Whoops.
We saw him at the New Year's Eve party with Netanyahu, met with Hegseth, who met with Rubio, and then right after, all those same people are there doing the regime change in Venezuela. Then why is this now important? Why is this now a strategic benefit? Netanyahu was super excited about Venezuela. Let's look at all the Zionists, all the neocons are super excited about Venezuela. $1.8 billion of oil. It was probably over $1 billion to even do that mission. What was the actual gain? So many oil companies, they don't want the oil right now. They're not accepting it. They're saying it's crude. They're saying it's dirty. And they're going to say, okay, it's a third world country and they're criminals. Okay, well, we also...
No. Trump just did a press conference the other day, and all of the top oil execs were there, and they were basically kissing his feet. And there were groups that said, we know how to process this oil. We're uniquely situated to handle this oil in the right way, this type of oil. And it has all sorts of uses for roads. We need roads paved. And you think we don't have the technology to process it to get what we need out of it? Come on now.
Understand that these are the same criminals in America that were on the Epstein list, that were there with Epstein.
And here
Who's
we
a better
go.
criminal? Okay,
Scott,
they
it
deal
always
cocaine,
goes
they have
back to
machine guns.
Epstein.
Is that really worse?
Everything goes back to Epstein. That's why pussies won't debate, because you do a debate where you basically say you don't care about the Epstein files being released. And then you say in the debate, that doesn't mean I don't want PDF files to be hung. I just don't think it should be released to the public. And then I proceed to defend Trump. And the whole point of that debate was to defend Trump, gay-ass First Amender. We're going to have to review one of his debates on Saturday, maybe the one with Jake, and just roast him. Just roast his ass for being a bitch. This debate was supposed to be with him. He said, I'm a PDF defender. Because what? Because I did a debate about the Epstein list and how they were being blown out of proportion, and how I don't care if they get released or not, because it's just going to be redacted and none of these people are going to get prosecuted. The only way that happens is in the shadows, through what the op was originally meant to do, to blackmail people for political power and control. The only way you're going to catch those people is if somebody like Trump goes in through the background, hunts them down, and gets them indicted. But you don't get that through releasing the files to the public. The whole argument that I was making. And when I left, I was ahead on the poll. So I think I won that debate. Even if I said some edgy things that might have offended some people. Don't be a bitch and not debate over that. That's so gay.
Worse of a crime than Epstein Island?
If I'm some idiot PDF defender, just make me look like an idiot. Just prove me wrong. Make me look stupid.
With Ninja Print on Demand, your business will boom.
Ninja Print on Demand.
As much power, as much abundance, as many resources as possible. So if you're coming around with this nonsense about they stole the oil, that's not moral. They intervened in another country who violated their sovereignty. I don't give a shit. I don't care at all. We do it all the time, and we've done it for centuries. It's called Manifest Destiny. It's called the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, the Bay of Pigs. We do it all the time. This is our world, and at the minimum, this is our half. This is our half.
If Ripple said, imagine if Afghanistan said Afghanistan
Don
was
Rowe
dominate the world and
doctrine,
conquer
baby.
everyone, there will be World War III tomorrow. Well, this is what happens
Don
with
Rowe
nationalism
doctrine.
and patriotic belief. It's like you want to put your country, you want your country to dominate. You want an empire for your own people.
Of the world, for us, to have uncontested,
Where'd you send it to me?
undisputed dominance, military, commercial,
Discord?
naval, every way, shape, and form. And we will take what we are entitled to. We will take what makes us safer, richer, more.
But that's also the same people will be like, okay, black people steal from Walmart. They feel entitled to that. They feel entitled to the Cheetos and Hennessy they're stealing from Walmart, and that's why they need to go cage it up. And then like now we're entitled to your oil. We can just take it. Isn't that the same mentality? Is black people stealing?
No.
Man, fuck no food stamp. I'm a steal. Like, this is the same shit.
Prosperous.
No, because they
We'll
have to
take what
worry
we
about
want.
being arrested by law enforcement. We are the law enforcement.
No, it's not.
Nobody can stop us, and we'll do it again, and I hope we do. And I hope we do it in Greenland, and I hope we do it in Panama, and I hope we
Cuba.
do it in Cuba. I hope we do it everywhere where it
Colombia.
makes sense for us. You got a problem with that? I don't know. Go back to fucking Pakistan. Go back to some other country and complain about it on the internet. Invented by America. So anyway, I don't know if I want to hear the comments. Botted the dislikes on Telegram award. Pakistanis botted the dislikes on Telegram. It means nothing. We could kidnap your leader too.
Do they bot his dislikes? Yeah, and I understand putting your country first. I understand wanting an American empire, Monroe Doctrine, all that. If there was an actual benefit that made sense. Like I said, I could be proven wrong. If we're
You are wrong.
other Christian nations to make it better. So is it really, what comes first? Is it the Christian part or is it the racial,
Nationalism.
not even the nationalism? What comes first, nationalism or faith?
If it was necessary.
We liberated a country. Did we? I mean, the Maduro's vice president's there. We liberated a country, yeah, just like we liberated all the other countries. Did we liberate Afghanistan and Syria and Iraq? Did we liberate and save them? What did we do in Afghanistan? We said the Taliban can't be in charge, and then women, like, we need democracy there. Women should vote. We liberated them from the shackles of oppression. Then the Taliban did end up winning. If you're American and say this wasn't Aura, you should probably be Canadian.
Aura farming. Haven't accepted my friend requests on Discord. You've sent me stuff on Discord before. Let's see, Vibe. A little bit of Vibes channel. I don't want to see his stuff about. There is no deep state with Terriat. Trying to see what guess we can watch this one with Teriak, a little bit of it. I don't want to watch much of it. There is no deep state. Who's saying there is no deep state? I always forget to check my friend requests. Like, I have 14 friend requests right now. 16. I guess I'm just gonna check them all. You don't have to be friends with somebody to get a message from them on Discord, though, I don't think. Dang, I got a ton of people that sent me friend requests. Have all these people sent me? No. Okay. You've sent me stuff in Discord before. What are you talking about? I have a whole conversation with you on Discord. That's where you sent me the picture of the coffee mug. I just want to listen to Vibes opening.
is that what we need to do.
I want to get a vibe for Vibe.
Evening and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sarah, the Raging Vibe, sharing date.
If a thing can't be named, so let's start with a question.
No.
If a thing can't be named, can't be quoted, can't be shown, and somehow controls everything, is that governance? Or is that just a ghost story with better PR? I'm going to take the affirmative on a simple claim. There is no deep state. Not no bureaucracy, not no secrecy, not no bad decisions. I'm denying a very specific idea, a coordinated, clandestine, durable cabal inside, around global governments that operate independently of elected authority and runs policies from the shadows. That's the creature on the table. Let's actually look at it. Now, where did the phrase come from? The term deep state comes from Turkey. Darren Devlet. Real scandals, real paramilitaries, real criminal ties. That's the architect. Hidden networks with off-books money and muscle. When people today say deep state, that is the picture they're borrowing from. But borrowing a label isn't the same as importing facts. Before we chase villains, let me make 3 quick points to the chat, to the judges, and honestly to ourselves. My first point, I will not deny reality. Governments do covert things. Witch hunts happen. Corruption exists. Organized crimes exist. Secret groups exist. I'm not allergic to facts. I'm allergic to bad intentions. My second point, I'll define a test.
Is there bad intention?
If you want to use the grown-up world deep state, the example has to pass 3 things: coordination, clandestiny, and independence over time. Coordination is a real, identifiable body or network that issues across agencies and across directives. Clandestiny is secret or illegal methods beyond lawful authority, and independence over time means it's durable. The ability to override elected leadership over time and time again. Miss any one of these and you've got ordinary politics, sometimes messy, sometimes ugly, but it's not a deep state.
Same thing.
And my third point, I'll offer a better explanation. Because if we're going to interpret the world, let's use a model that actually explains more with fewer exceptions, because exceptions are what Teriak has. So what actually exists?
This sounds like my opening for the racism thing. He's kind of basically saying deep state is too narrow, but so it doesn't really have a meaning. It's like just some word that we lob at thing. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to steelman him. Constantly be the nice guy.
Millions of unelected people work in and around global governments. They're civil servants, militaries, contractors. That's a really big machine, and it's really boring and often at war with itself. The part you see is the laws, the hearings, the budgets, and the parts you don't see, process, expertise, and classification. It's not a single orchestra. It's every middle school band member playing at the exact same time. And yes, I know we've all seen James Bond movies, Mission Impossible movies, Triple X, Fast and Furious. Movies are tidy. There's always one mastermind, one lever, one plan. But notice what never happens in these films. Inspector generals, parliaments, information access laws, budget riders, court injunctions, HR projections, everything that makes reality annoying and democracy functional. If we don't believe...
Remember the Monday after this happened, I said I reported on 40 killed. Now, ABC News is saying 32 Cuban officers killed during U.S. strike. Cuba mourns 32 soldiers killed in U.S. attack on Venezuela. So we killed 32 Cuban soldiers. What is he? Is he libertarian, or I think he's Christian because he did his Bible study show. Death toll. Loss of life. Argument. "32 Cuban soldiers." Bodies. Isn't what they want about them bodies. Somebody better tell you about them bodies. Cuban soldiers wearing white gloves marched out of a plane on Thursday carrying boxes with the remains of 32 Cuban officers killed during a stunning U.S. attack on Venezuela, and as trumpets and drums played solemnly at Havana's airports. Nearby, thousands of Cubans lined up. Hours earlier, state television. So Cuba's not going to be happy. Fuck them. But CNN is saying 100 dead in total. At least 100 dead in U.S. raid to capture Maduro. The first story I saw on it said 40. Now we're up to 100. That's the only article, but that's not even an article. It's just a... Is it a video? What is
that
this?
unrelenting
It's a
itch
video.
when
Ew.
moderate to severe eczema is uncontrolled despite topical treatment. Relieve itch fast with
Stop
clear skin
itching.
that lasts.
I ain't trying to see you itching.
Nemluvio blocks the signaling from IL-31, a switch that triggers key symptoms of eczema. Do not take if allergic to
I have to
Nemluvio.
watch this.
Serious
Oh, I
reactions.
can mute it. I can mute it. We don't have to hear about her itching. Five seconds left. 1, 0.
In Caracas, the mood is one of uncertainty and anxiety about what lies ahead, days after the U.S. operation that saw the capture of President Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores.
Yeah, protesters took to the streets earlier this week, chanting slogans demanding their release. They're also calling for their national sovereignty to be respected.
Venezuela's government says at least 100 people died in the U.S. attack. Funerals for soldiers killed were held on Wednesday.
Meanwhile, residents are still reeling from the aftershock after the capital was rocked by a series of explosions during the weekend raid. One man says that he was sleeping when he heard a blast and woke up to air full of dust.
The moment the missile hit, I turned around in despair, and what I saw was an orange sky. The whole building collapsed around us. We couldn't get out. We got up, we couldn't even see through the smoke. We grabbed the dogs and we got out through a small hole, and we started calling for help.
It was a horrible thing. It was 2 a.m. Everyone was sleeping. We never expected any of this. It's truly a very sad thing. I'm filled with rage because I feel helpless. Right now, we all feel nervous. We can hardly sleep at night because every noise we hear, we feel like an explosion is coming.
And journalist Mary Trini Mena has more from Caracas.
The Minister of Interior Affairs of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, reported on the death toll after the 3 kinetic strikes that took place.
This is
on
real
Venezuela.
sad. This is real sad. All the women news reporters telling us all these sad stories. This is a pull on your heartstrings. Vibe is a turtleneck away from Ned Flanders. He's fence sitting, knitting circle Christian. Yeah, I've only been on panels with him a couple times. We didn't really interact much. But one time I said something, and his rebuttal was like, "Oh, I don't think a Christian would be saying anything like that." And I was like, "Oh, here comes the piety signaling." But then he ended up like disconnecting like a few minutes later. So but other than that, I don't think I ever had any bad interactions with him. I don't know.
According to Diosdado Cabello, which is one of the strongest figures within the government, about 100 people died during these events, and a similar amount resulted injured. This is the first time that a government official make a reference about the amount of people that were killed. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, Venezuelans are trying to return to their daily routines. They keep stocking on food and medicines, but we have witnessed less lines in commercial stores such as supermarkets and pharmacies. Also, people are trying to recover that sense of normality they lost on Saturday. They are trying to get back to their jobs.
Okay,
Also,
thank
they
you,
are-
Juanita. Back to the press room, Juanita. Okay. What was I looking at before? Oh yeah, this.
Believe in a hero cabal saving the world like James Bond? Then why are we so eager to canonize a secret villain cabal running it? Let me build the affirmative case plainly. Contention 1. Complexity plus incentives explain the mystery better than conspiracy. Modern states delegate, long-lived agencies develop expertise and norms. They also generate friction with short-term political leadership. That friction, those slow rolls, dissent, leaks, feel like sabotage, but it's exactly what you would expect when millions of actors with different incentives share one machine. Bureaucratic politics does not equal shadow government. What looks like a conspiracy
We're talking
is
about
just
the ones
often
who own the
complexity,
machine, not the
doing what
ones who
complexity does.
share the machine.
My second contention: our guardrails are visible. Legal is noisy. The opposite of hidden sovereignty. Across countries, we have courts, legislators, auditors, inspectors, whistleblowers, statutes, freedom of information regimes, and press that leaks constantly. Abuses are investigated and curtailed in daylight. That is not what a successful secret regime looks like. If a cabal truly ruled, the first casualty would be oversight, not their feelings. My
What'd
next
I say?
contention 3, elected leaders can do rewrite the machine. Proof against independent government hires, firing, resigning, change of rules, shift in budgets.
So, according to the University of Delaware,
I'm more interested in Vibe's debate style right now than Teriak's.
Sometimes you cheer for the changes.
But I am interested in what Teriak's going to say in response to this.
Sometimes you hate them, but the ability to make them prove the system is not ruled by an untouchable inner ring. If you're supposed to be deep state, can you fire somebody by email? That's not sovereign. It's a workplace. And
what? This seems like some sort of feelings argument. Like I feel like there's not a deep state, and it seems just crazy. Seems like some conspiracy stuff. But I think there's pretty clear evidence that there's a deep state. Like I think we have like undeniable evidence that there are trillionaires who we know about, but we don't really know about. We can't talk about, but sometimes people talk about them in these families, political families. It even ties in with the Epstein Island stuff and P. Diddy stuff. What's he saying? A deep state don't exist. I don't get the argument. I'm trying to steel man it, and I'm having a rough time. It sounds like he's like just saying, since people can do deep state stuff, they're just government and bureaucrats and groups and like that's just it's not deep state because that's just the way the system works. It's just the state. I don't know.
Last contention. The deep state thesis is unfalsifiable.
The country has been in rough shape for a while and was worse after Maduro and his people took over. Are you Venezuelan, Abby? One day I'm going to guess Abby's nationality correctly. Are you Venezuelan? Don't tell me what you are. Just tell me if I'm right or not. I'm going to keep guessing off of a name and a little picture, a little tiny picture that I can't barely see. Yes, it's all intentionally entwined.
Viable. Ask for names, mechanisms, enforcement. An answer is too often. It's so good, you can't prove it. That's not a theory. That's a fog machine. Any claim that cannot be wrong cannot be weighed. Meanwhile, the simpler model, laws, incentives, institutions, explain the same data with fewer assumptions and make testable predictions. Slow processes, public oversight bursts, policy lags, personal churn. That's exactly what we see. Now, I know what Teriak loves to reach for, so let's debunk his greatest hits, as he would say, if you know what I'm saying. Cold War covert actions in various countries, awful or not, these were government policies. Political principles authorize them. Condemn the choices if you wish. That doesn't conjure a separate sovereign. Operation Paperclip and the Jelen organization. Ugly, time-bound, though. Expedience and chaos after World War II. Publicly debated then, publicly documented now. That is not permanent inner power. Gladio and Stay Behind networks. These were real Cold War.
None of these things are deep state, though. Operation Paperclip was done out in the open. Like, it wasn't a secret. Deep state, deep state is more like, shoot, what was I just thinking that I was going to say? I had a brain fart. What was I just thinking about? Oh, deep state is like the dang Federal Reserve, the island, the Jekyll Island situation, when all these rich, powerful men, Singaporean. No, I'm not Venezuelan. Keep guessing. Singaporean. You're not allowed to guess, Wally. Is it in Asia? I said Asia before. I thought she was Korean. I don't know. She's probably said it before, and I just have bad memory. The Federal Reserve getting created, the Jekyll Island meeting, that was the deep state. The deep state aren't doing these things like Operation Paperclip or Operation Fishbowl or freaking MK. I was going to say MK Ultra, but even MK Ultra isn't so much the deep state who started it. See, if you said MK Ultra, he'd be like, well, that's public knowledge. We all know about that. And that was done in a university and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, but what are they doing with it now? That's the stuff that we don't know about. They told us that they did that and they experimented with it. And they're like, look, we came out and told you. So obviously, we're not going to keep doing stuff like that. That would be crazy. We just did it for a test. No, now they use it. Now they know how to concentrate it and direct it straight into your eyeballs through your cell phones. Yes, I'm from Asia. Either I'm right or I'm helping confuse JS. I win either way. I imagine it's hard to keep up with it. I think I'm going to change my Monday night show. I'm going to borrow a little bit from Puentes. And then I'm going to borrow a little bit from something I saw Easy do with the way Easy does. So I think for the first 2 hours of the show, it's just going to be talking about the news and stuff. And then instead of doing like the last hour being just like a random thing that I want to talk about that week that isn't related to the news or anything, instead of that, throughout the first 2 hours, I have a poll up that says ask questions. And then at the end, I just read those questions and answer them. And then throughout the other first 2 hours, don't really be focused on the chat as much. But I don't know. But then also, if you do super chat questions, then they jump to the front. So kind of like how he does it during the debates. but also how Fuentes does it.
Programs. The leap from real program to cross-national false flags empire is evident. This evidence is where it thins. Show me a present-day command chain where membership directives and enforcement power across countries, or admit that it fails the test. Captured media, Mockingbird, MK Ultra. MK Ultra was real abuse, and it was investigated.
But it wasn't the deep state. See it? Predictable. But I would not use any of these as an example of the deep state, by the way. I would use Soros doing organized protests all over the world. I would point to Saul Alinsky and the setting up the civil rights movements and things like that. I would point to organizations, who funds these organizations like Antifa and things like that. I would point towards Jekyll Island and the Federal Reserve. I would not point to any of those examples that he just brought up in his opening statement. He thinks he's doing an 8 Mile, like, oh, I'm going to hit Teriak with all his talking points and show how these are not deep state related. I wouldn't say any of those are deep state related either. Those were horrible. Those are conspiracy. Those are government conspiracies that were not theories. They're known government conspiracies. But that's not the deep state. That's not even what the deep state is.
Reported and curtailed. If total capture existed, the leaks wouldn't. If the cabal runs the press should stop running the cabal's secrets. Yet it doesn't. Bilderberg, Davos, IMS, BMIS. These convene. They don't command. They publish rosters.
His language is very flowery. He's a good speaker and a good writer. This is a well put together opening, but it's not substantive, especially since that chunk right there was supposed to be his like hit. Like, oh, you're going to say this, 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 you're going to say this. All of those I can debunk. Like, that's what he's saying. But the problem is I'm like a conspiratorial guy. I wouldn't call any of those things the deep state. Now, MK Ultra, like I said, what we know about it, that was not deep state. What they're doing with it now would be deep state, but we don't know about that. And one of his arguments is, well, we know about this, so it's not deep state. It's not like it's some secret cabal. We know who did it, and it's just the government doing what government do. But you didn't give any good examples of deep state activity.
Charters and voting shares. Elites talk. Of course they do. Talking is not a coup. At this point, you might ask, what does count as the deep state? Which is a great question.
I mean, we saw a coup in, how about that coup that led to the formation of the CIA in, what year was that? Honduras? Sam the Banana Man, my boy Sam the Banana Man. This elite who runs the banana industry. And remember, bananas are tied to almost every coup prior CIA. Once we get the CIA, then we start going into the Cold War. Then we start going into Congo, Iran, Afghanistan, the Middle East, the desert, Vietnam, all this stuff. But and we still dabble in South and Latin America, Central America, because it's more of a Red Scare thing. It's these commies. We got to keep these commies out of here. But before the CIA, all of our coups were basically in the Gulf of Mexico with Central America and Northern South America. The triangle, what do they call it? I need to write that down, actually. The triangle, it's not the green triangle. That's in California where they grow weed. But it's called the something triangle. It's like Venezuela, El Salvador, and Cuba or something like that. It's but anyway, all of our coups and things are over bananas. Well, the guy downline of Dole who's in charge of the Banana Sam, the Banana Man, an elite, did a coup on Honduras with him and his militia. Just him and his militia went down there, and the government just let it happen. And then at the last minute, the government stepped in and said, okay, we got to break this up. We're taking over Honduras. You think that wasn't a deep state coup? What do you know about Sam the Banana Man?
So let me make the standard explicit again. There's no slippery goalpost tonight. It has to have coordination.
A slippery goalpost. A slippery goalpost. Look at Teriak's face. He said, there's no slippery goalpost tonight. And Teriak went, what? What's a slippery goalpost? This sounds like something weird. There's no slippery goalpost tonight. And Teriak's face is so funny. Hold on, we got to play that again.
There's no slippery goalpost tonight. It has to have coordination. Name the present day coordinating bodies.
He's trying not to laugh. He's like, slippery goalpost. Damn. What you thinking about slippery goalposts for, Vibe?
Bureaucracy, not the they. Who sits where? How do their orders move? Clandestiny. Produce verifiable cross-agency illegal directives at scale, not vibes, but documents. Independence over time, and this is really important. Show one case where elected leadership couldn't fire, defund, restructure, or legislate to change the outcomes.
Oh, okay. Guys, remind me, we got to look into BRICS still, which I did a show on BRICS a long time ago while I was banned on YouTube. It's on Rumble. You'd have to go to Rumble to find it. Maybe I'll pull that up and see what I said about BRICS. I think we watched that's back when I used to do like 5 hours on a Monday night. And we watched like a 3-hour documentary. Let me see if I can find that while I play this.
And the cabal stopped them. If you can't meet these three, then you don't have a deep state. You have politics, untidy, public, meandering politics. Let me ask an obvious rhetorical question. We should all be asking it. If a hidden empire truly runs the show, why does it leak consistently? Why do inspector generals and auditors publish scorching reports?
I need to make a
Why
kick.
do courts block
I have a
executive
kick already.
actions?
I need to...
Why do budgets get overwritten? Agencies reshape. Watchdogs are replaced. Why do secret sovereigns lose firefights in broad daylight to judges with a gavel and a PDF file? I get why the state story is so tempting. It's emotionally satisfying. It turns every disappointment into a plot and every opponent into a puppet. But if you can't show one conspiracy theory that fits all three of these criteria, then you do not have a deep state.
Thank you, Vibe. And Teriak, to you, please.
Hey, stop buying courses. Listen, I want to build you a Shopify store completely free, and I want to do it on a live stream. Literally, you click the link below. My brother Adrian and I, we are live streaming.
I know I did I did the Newsom DeSantis debate review while I was on Rumble. That's why it's not on my YouTube. Killdozer. Newsom DeSantis debate recap. Fourth Republican primary debate. Alex Jones on Tucker. I don't see it. I don't know if it's in here. Oh, wait, there's another page. Oh, there's another page. Global conflict. Is it this one? No. Global crisis, Guatemala corruption. Id, ego, and super ego. Daniel in the Lion's Den. Rewriting of American history. Sorry, I'm looking through my old streams to try to find the one that I did about BRICS. I feel like I would have... Fake aliens. Biden indictment. Hunters got guns. Government shutdown. Race hustler. Me Too mess. Border crisis. Jonah and the whale. Daniel and the lion's den. Canada makes mistakes. Is it this one? Government shutdown averted. Global crisis. Israel war. Guatemala corruption. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. 90-day YouTube ban. Morocco. Oh, BRICS research. I found it. It's the first one when I got banned on YouTube.
I've so fallen in love with the
90-day
concept of what
YouTube
you're doing,
ban.
because people
Morocco
focus on big
earthquake.
pharma and forget that there's also a distribution.
Russian
No
Satan
offense,
nuke.
but if you're paying more than $30
Weird
per month on
science.
car insurance,
Watching loose change.
you're getting ripped off. Guys, so...
Believe in magical thinking. It shows.
You guys want to see how my streams used to start? Before every Monday night stream, I would make a little, starting soon screen. So every week there was a new custom starting soon screen. This is a plane with poo falling out of it, and then a Russian Satan nuke. I wish I could go back to doing this, but sometimes I would spend like 5-6 hours putting the Monday night show together on Sunday. And then it would take me like 3 hours to do this because I would like have to come up with an idea and sit here and draw it. Maybe not. Sometimes I could throw them together real quick, but a lot of thought went into these.
Came to choose to serve.
Hold on a second. Did he just say children who were not even born yet when this happened? So hold on. Either that's just a gaffe or he's acknowledging that there's children in the womb. Or are they fetuses? He just called them children who were not even born yet. I think it's probably just a gaffe. I don't think he's thinking that deeply about it.
Not because
it could go way out here. We're not going to watch this now, but I want to find where I was talking about bricks because I don't have the time to do all the research. Danny Masterson, this is when he went to jail. He got Me Too'd. Robots. Oh, this is when somebody died from the Pocky chip challenge. That was funny. It's frozen. Bread off of that because people are still going to want to buy them. They're still going to want to do the challenge. It was not an official recall. It was a voluntary recall from Pocky. They took them off the shelves. This in school. If you've ever done the one chip challenge, the fact that kids were doing this at school, bro, you need the whole next day off. You need to eat this thing and have nothing to do for the rest of your day and have the next day off because it's that serious. It is not a game. That's local police. Then he goes to what the Phoenix.
heck?
This is when we watched Loose Change. What is the Bricks episode? This is not the Bricks episode. Division of labor gestation must contribute a single cell. This is where they gestated mice in an artificial womb. Where did I talk about bricks, though? It's got to be.
It's like the Academy Award.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to be with President Putin, his representatives, my representatives. We have many things to discuss.
I just start.
It's a smoking a pancake.
This is the part where you kind of make your move to.
Apparently, this guy is terminally ill, but again,
yeah, he's got AIDS. He's gay crackhead.
all of your works are as filthy rags.
See, I used to make my own clips. Like, I used to gather all the news and I would make a clip. So, like this.
But you can be made righteous. Hundreds dead after earthquake hits Morocco. Thousands. Thousands dead.
This is not the one. It says in-depth BRICS research right there. But I didn't do any BRICS research in that. It's got to be somewhere in there. Maybe I didn't spend as much time as I thought I did. Anyway, we have to look into the BRICS situation too. I don't think I have a folder on that anymore.
Today, and we are building Shopify stores. And not only are we building.
Yeah, so first of all, hello Prometheus, and yeah, I kind of figured that I was going to have to do a bit of a meta-analysis on the debate in the opening. The first, the Vibe basically just kind of strawmanned my whole argument. Also saying stuff like I don't want Vibe, but he calls himself Vibe. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But like the whole straw man he's doing here is like the deep state must control the world. They must be this cabal or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's I reject that definition of the deep state wholeheartedly. But also, I just want to define a couple of things before we get in meat and potatoes. So first of all, I'm going to define what an argument of incongruity is. It's basically an argument that's a logical fallacy that asserts a proposition must be false because it contradicts one's own personal expectations or beliefs or is difficult to imagine. An example of this was the infamous Aphrodite debate where Millennium Mike just said that's impossible. That will never happen. That's not an argument. Vibe's not allowed to do that, chat. Okay, he's committing a logical fallacy if he does that. I also wanted to find gaslighting just in case Vibe tries to go down that avenue and tries to brush any of the stuff that I'm about to discuss off as like, oh, that's just conspiracy. That never happened. All the stuff.
Okay, I already know what Terriac. I already know where Terriac's coming from. Come on, ads. What the? One wing is shorter than the other on my plane?
Or use the whole thing of like they have the presidential candidate.
That was the angle that you were looking at it from.
And then they go into the back room and then there's like the council and it's like basically a representative from all across the world.
But where is the deep state? How is that not just politics?
What you mean? How's that? Okay, like
So,
what would you define as politics then?
You just admitted, you said to have the best military.
Nobody's saying it's not just politics. That's why it's called the deep state. The state is a political body. The deep state is a deeper part of those politics. It's deep politics.
You have to have covert options or operations. You have to do these things. You have to send troops in, right, to have the best military.
Yeah.
And
If you want to win wars, you have to have a deep state. Yeah.
But how? Okay, this is where you keep on losing me. That's how government works. How are you adding deep state
that's how
onto
covert
that?
ops work.
This is
That's
where,
how covert
I'm
ops work.
going. Is that my whole idea here is there's no deep state. Just people like you randomly throw in ideas that deep state, which throws fear on top of it, right? There's no deep state because it doesn't apply
I'm not afraid
to
of
normal politics. And
I guess I am afraid of somebody going deep. Never mind. Stop.
by your own admission,
I'm not afraid of going deep. We can get deep.
when you said I strongmanned you, I didn't strongman you. I actually laid out what deep state was. And
Did he just say strong man?
own admission, when you said I strongmanned you,
He said, when you said I strongmanned you.
I didn't strongman you. Actually,
he said strongman. He doesn't know. He said straw man. A strong man.
Laid out what deep state was, and you removed some of the most important pieces of what actually the definition of deep state is. If you look it up on Wikipedia, and
Unelected,
Webster's,
like,
and all these
yeah.
things of what modern definition is, you basically excluded this. So now you can say that normal politics, even when politics screws.
He said slippery goalpost, deep state, strong man. What are you thinking about? No, stop. That's not nice. I'm banned from Teriak's chat. You're about to get banned from my chat.
Up, even when there is a rogue agency inside the CIA screws up, that's now deep state. But what I'm saying is when those things happen and those conspiracies, which sometimes are true, that you call out, are not deep state. They're flaws in our system, and our politics catch them. And you slap this word deep state on it, and now you're telling me it doesn't. You're telling me, oh well, regular politics is deep state. It's not.
No, what I'd say is there's a deep state in modern politics. Yes,
I can't. Okay, we'll keep listening to it, but I got to find something else to watch. We're gonna
You
watch
asked
something
for more
about
ways
bricks.
to create, so we made a major update. Sleeve printing is now live.
Like, and I would say
Auntie, you can tell the type of stuff that I've been looking into in the videos I've been watching lately by my feet, my ads. Guys, if there's like an ED ad or something, everything I'm saying, totally forget about it. It's not targeted advertisement. Okay. I don't know why that stuff ends up on there sometimes. But the reason you're seeing all these ads about like t-shirt printing companies and internet stores, I'm trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how to set up the merch line.
ever since like the World War II. Because like the key word that you're missing, Vibe, is the element of like it's an unelected, like it's subverting democracy. What the FBI done? One sec. What the FBI done?
What the FBI done? What the FBI done? They did what they done, and they done what they did. You'll do fucking nothing. The FBI do what they done. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Kai Sanat quit streaming. What am I looking for? Venezuela BRICS. Breaking. Venezuela sides with BRICS against the U.S. 3 months ago. I already knew this was happening 2 years ago, but I guess I didn't. This flew under my radar. 3 months ago, Venezuela joins BRICS, a game changer that caught Trump off guard. Why did I not report on this? I talked about this 2 years ago and said that that they were approaching BRICS and that they wanted to get involved with Venezuela and they wanted Venezuela to get involved in BRICS. And I never did an update that 3 months ago. See, 2 years ago, this is what I was talking about 2 years ago.
Which started small, but is about to get bigger.
I swear it's got to be in that stream somewhere, but I just slippery binders. But we went deep into BRICS on that stream, and I explained everything. We watched a video. That's why it can't be that one, because it's not in there.
Some 40 countries have expressed interest in joining the
Brazil.
BRICS. Venezuela
Brazil,
is
Russia,
one.
India,
Its
China.
government is lobbying hard to become
Brazil,
a member
Russia,
of the group.
India, China.
Events in the region have helped that bid. Brazil,
Scandinavia?
a founding
No,
member of the BRICS, now has a government which is sympathetic to
Saudi
Venezuela's
Arabia?
ambition.
Maybe Saudi Arabia. We watched this 2 years
Here
ago
was
on the. We watched this video 2 years ago on the stream.
President Lula in May.
It will be my first BRICS meeting after 8 years. There have been proposals from countries which want to join. It's not just up to Brazil, but all members, and we will decide there.
Lula.
But if you ask me what I think, I support the idea.
At the same meeting, the Venezuelan leader confirmed his government's position.
Yes, we want to be part of BRICS in a modest manner and join the construction of this new global architecture, this new geopolitics of the new world.
Joining the BRICS.
So that's Maduro saying, yes, we want to join BRICS 2 years ago. Now, if you're wondering, what is BRICS, Josh? Well, it's a union of pretty much all of America's enemies together, but it's only an economic union, right? So what they say in BRICS is when you join BRICS, it's about a unification of resources and currency so that they can make a new currency, unite all these countries together, unite their economies and their country and their currencies together to make one currency to overthrow the US dollar, which would crumble the value of the US dollar. Now all of a sudden, your pesos and your yen are worth more than my American dollar and the British people's pounds and the Australian people's whatever the hell they have there in fake Australia. But that was the plan. And BRICS has been flying under the radar. A lot of people haven't talked about it. It kind of popped into popularity about 2 years ago when I talked about it. Freddie actually is the one who put me onto BRICS. That's when Freddie used to actually come with interesting talking ideas back in the day. And he's like, hey, Josh, you looked into BRICS yet? I was like, BRICS? What's BRICS? Well, Trump, blah, 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 blah. It always tied in with him hating Trump. But he's like, yeah, BRICS is going to fuck up the American dollar. Trump, they're going to win. And anyway, I didn't know anything about BRICS. So I looked into BRICS. And then months later, it was like a popular talking point. And I was like, we were ahead of that. Freddie, the source came in. We got in on that one early. At the time, I was banned on YouTube, though, so I was on Rumble. But, and so this is 2 years ago. BRICS was no bueno, but it flew under the radar, and it was still working. And Venezuela said 3 months ago, right around the time. Wait, so 3 months ago, Venezuela says, we're joining BRICS. Confirmed. We talked about it for the last 2 years. We had meetings with these elites, with all of America's enemies who are building missile silos on our country, who we're dealing with oil with them and energy while we're in America's backyard. And now we're going to make a currency deal with them, which is meant to bring down the American currency and make it the new world currency. And now what BRICS says, like in their charter, we read it on the stream, and like what it means to be part of a BRICS nation. I forget the word for it. There's a technical word for this, but it was a certain type of relationship where we're only dealing with trade and currency and economy stuff here. If you get in a fight with another country, we don't have to come to defend you. If we get in a fight with another country, you don't have to come to defend us. There's no sort of relationship like that. It's not a militaristic relationship. I just said militaristic. That's a dumb word. It's not a military relationship. It's a economic relationship. BRICS sounds bad, combining countries' currency together. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of not really what it is. It's more like they would just make a new currency. I guess, yeah, kind of like, because you're combining their economies together, their economic power, their resource power, and then they would make like a new currency that they would all use. And then America and the Western nations, we either got to get on board or we aren't the international language of business anymore. We aren't the international currency. Our dollar is crippled. So it was a bad thing. But they said military-wise, like China's not going to defend Russia, is not going to defend Iran. Or is it India or Iran? I forget. It's India. I believe it's India. Brazil, Russia, India, China. It's not Scandinavia. What countries were in BRICS? I'm sure they'll say Sudan. No. I think it's Saudi Arabia. I think I said it earlier. But yeah. And it kind of fell out of the news. But now 3 months ago, Maduro says, yep, we're doing it. We're joining BRICS. What happens also right about 3 months ago, right about 2.5 months ago? Let's say within 2 weeks after that happens, what starts happening? We start bombing the shit out of their boats. And then we take Maduro. I think BRICS has more to do with it than a lot of people. And who was I listening to? They said I disagreed with them on this. It's somebody I usually agree with, but they said it was Teriak. It was on Teriak's stream. I can't remember whose stream it was, but they were saying, yeah, BRICS isn't really a big deal. And I was like, nah, I think you're wrong on that one. I might start a dumb word redundancy jar instead of a swear word jar to get myself to pay closer attention to the structure, not just the content of my speech sentences. Yeah, that's right.
Presents an opportunity for Venezuela, which is sanctioned by most members of the other global grouping, the G7.
Zelensky.
Being accepted would help support the government's message that many important global powers have no interest in shunning the South American nation.
The BRICS is an alliance that is confronting clearly with the G7, and for Maduro to belong to this alliance is like saying, well, I'm here, I'm joined this group, I'm not isolated at all. I'm here with my best partners, China and Russia, and now with a good partner, which is Brazil and the government of Lula.
There's also an economic attraction. Venezuela's access to international finance markets has been severely hit by US sanctions. It's keen to join the New Development Bank, formerly known as the BRICS Bank, although membership of BRICS is not essential for that. For the BRICS, were Venezuela to join, the country with the world's largest proven oil reserves would be under its fold, though currently Venezuelan oil production is at near historic lows, the consequence of years of corruption, mismanagement and US sanctions.
They blame the sanctions.
If the BRICS is meant to represent the world's 21st century emerging powers,
this is the route he's going to take. Our sanctions oppressed Venezuela. Our sanctions oppressed them, and it collapsed their economy. We didn't let them do what they wanted to do. We're oppressive. Our sanctions didn't collapse their economy. Chavez, Maduro, and Perez were collapsing their economies way before. All three of them fucked up, and all three of them took the wrong path to unfuck it up. Chavez brought it back for a little bit because of Viva la Revolution! Until you find out the problem is never... What did that guy say? The problem is never what people say it is. The problem is the revolution. The problem is never the reason for the revolution. The problem is the revolution. Something like that. They had a revolution. Oh yeah, we're free now. Just like when they did Occupy Wall Street. I got that from a Occupy Wall Street documentary that I was listening to last night. And that was redundant, repetitive, and unnecessarily duplicative. That was redundant, repetitive, and unnecessarily duplicative, and also very verbose, wordy, you know, too much letters. I don't know.
The admission of Venezuela and others will
That'd be something cool for a shirt, something like that. Just a message on a shirt. If the dinosaur shirts sell, if the dinosaur pyramid shirt sells, I already got an idea for the second in the series. It'll be a dinosaur series. The second one's going to have to be a raptor, like with a torch in his hands, looking like Indiana Jones, like, but with like security guard, not like Indiana Jones. No, a flashlight. Well, a torch is like a flashlight, holding a torch, but like with a security whistle, and it'd say like a security raptor. Security raptor. And it's like a velociraptor, but like a security guard velociraptor searching some dark catacombs under the pyramids.
inevitably change that image.
Venezuela sees nothing but advantages in joining the BRICS. Now it's up to the existing members of the organization to decide the nature of its expansion. Stephen Gibbs, CGTN, Caracas.
Yeah, running around with a grape whistle. Why this island could trigger World War III. Trump's Greenland envoy pick. Jeff Landry. I can't get into Greenland right now. We got to focus on Venezuelan. Slow down, news cycle.
I lost $50,000 because I didn't buy a domain name.
Shut up, bitch. See, dude, as soon as I get the DJI mic, everybody starts using this Square Rode mic. The DJI one's better. Maybe that one's cheaper. I don't know.
It's the 1940s, and China is ripping itself apart. The ruling government is quickly losing the country to a rising communist revolution. It's a well-organized military movement supported by...
Yeah, Auntie, I can't help it. I just talk. I can't help it. I'm not good at surprises. That's why if I'm ever on the Nor Prep debates, I don't know how. I don't know if I could do that because I don't know if I could not say it. I'll probably say it. I'll be like, prep, Rob. I don't care. Prep. Prep these.
By the Soviet Union, led by revolutionary Mao Zedong. And they're now marching across the country, driving out the ruling government all the way down to here, where the government leaders and over 1 million loyalists and soldiers retreat on boats and planes across this strait to a Chinese island that had been taken over by Japan but had just been liberated. Mao's fighters can't go any further. They can't reach the island without a proper navy or air.
I don't know. Is there much like individuality in China? I feel like every generation, they're all just like robots. Like there's never like unique Chinese people, it seems like. They're all either like a businessman or like an anime character.
Force, which they did not have yet. For now, the near-defeated Republic of China is safe on this island. And this isn't just any island.
Like they don't have like personalities. You know? Wordy, verbose, hyperloquacious, and excessively expressive. Excessively oppressive, you're oppressively oppressive. Excessively expressive, you're obsessively oppressive. It's a collectivist culture, no pink hair. Yeah, right. So they all look the same, they all talk the same, they all think the same. Is the next generation going to be much different than their parents? They're just like, we go to work now. Walk with briefcase. Walk home. Sit at table, no shoes. Eat dinner. Ugh. I just switched from like I don't know what the hell that was. Got to a samurai at some point.
400 years before this, Portuguese explorers arrived here. Ilha Formosa, or Beautiful
about
Island,
Venezuela?
it was sought after by empires from Europe to Asia for its fertile land and strategic military.
It's Taiwan. What the fuck are we talking about in this video? Sorry. This is not the Bible study stream, guys. This is about Taiwan. I don't care
It's
about
a
this.
club which started small but is about
Find
to
out
get
about
bigger.
Venezuela.
Some 40 countries
Why
have expressed
Venezuela is
interest
so
in
poor despite having so much oil. Let's see if this tells us it's all America's fault, even though we gave them every chance. Every time during the Venezuelan gold age, they embraced, shocker, they embraced capitalism and they worked with America. During the Venezuelan gold age. Then Chavez comes in. Hugo Chavez, right? There's so many Chavezes. There's Xiomara Chavez. No, Castro. Oh my gosh. These dang Spanish names. Xiomara Castro. Chavez is Cesar Chavez, Hugo Chavez. Something like that. Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez is the Hugo Chavez makes Maduro president when he's dying of lung cancer, I think. Some sort of cancer. He gets cancer 2013 and he picks Maduro as his successor because Maduro is a dick rider. That's it. That's the only reason. That's the only reason Maduro was picked. But it was because he rode some nuts. He was a sycophant. He was a brown-nosing, sycophantant dick rider. Very redundant. Have to have a whole operation to keep the debate secret for both opponents. Yeah. Yeah, I could put out like a fake prompt and then I twist it at the last second. What was I going to watch? This? I don't care.
What if starting a dropshipping business?
No,
this
this is not what I want.
With AutoDS AI, just a few clicks is all it takes. With AutoDS AI, your Shopify store is built for you in minutes. Product.
Venezuela has the largest reserves of oil in the entire world, more than Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and even much larger oil-rich countries such as the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Despite this, Venezuela does not have a strong economy. In fact, Venezuelans today are markedly worse than they were 20 years ago. So why is Venezuela so poor if it has access to so much money-generating oil? Hello and welcome to Geography by Jeff. Venezuela is a fascinating place. While the country began its life as a colony, it would eventually go on to become the first independent nation in South America. However, the discovery of vast amounts of oil has seen it devolve into an authoritarian petrostate in recent decades, which has ended in the country becoming incredibly poor today. And, as with all of my videos, there's a geographic reason for this. But first, if you're a fan of my videos, consider supporting me over on Substack. Paid subscribers get access to even more geography every week, special callouts, ad-free podcasts, and these extra special perks. So if you want to support my work, today, Venezuela has...
This is like geopolitical. This is economics and politics, but his name is Geography by Jeff. What this got to do with geography?
Has its fair share of colonial history. But before we get to how the country was shaped by European powers, it's worth highlighting that Venezuela was home to many indigenous civilizations, including the Timodo-Cuica culture. This society was very complex and had pre-planned permanent villages, surrounded by irrigated terraced fields, and many other features that would be common in Europe at the time as well. But while Venezuela was home to an estimated 1 million indigenous peoples, the arrival of Europeans would upend their lives completely. Christopher Columbus first landed in what is now known as Venezuela during his third voyage to the New World in 1498. However, it wasn't until the early 1500s that Spain established their first permanent settlement in South America in the present-day city of Cumaná. This marked the beginning of the Spanish colonization of the region. with the Spanish crown seeking to expand its empire and secure its claims to the New World against other European powers. And as Spain expanded throughout the continent, they would impose their institutions, culture, and religion on the native populations. This would include an economic system known as the encomienda, whereby the crown granted settlers a number of indigenous people from whom they could demand labor or tribute.
Nice.
As the colony of Venezuela expanded over the centuries, Spain would continue to establish new cities and territories. Initially, the region's economy was based on pearl fishing, but later it expanded to include agriculture, livestock, and mining. But as Spain continued to exploit its Venezuelan colony, its people would start to think about what life might look like as an independent country. The first rumblings of independence within Venezuela began in the late 1700s, influenced by Enlightenment ideas of freedom, equality.
1810, Venezuela declares itself an independent country. Let's see if that is the same date he gives.
Equality and self-governance, along with examples set by the American and French revolutions, the colonists started to question Spanish rule. Discontent was fueled further by heavy taxation and strict trade restrictions imposed by the Spanish crown. On July 5, 1811, a Congress of Venezuelan provinces adopted the Venezuelan Declaration of Independence. This marked the formal beginning of the struggle for a free Venezuela. Simon Bolivar.
I got Simon Bolivar 1810. He said 1811. Maybe he started in 1810.
Often called El Libertador, emerged as a key figure in the fight for independence. Initially, he faced several defeats and was forced into exile multiple times. However, his resilience led to the formation of the army known as the Patriots. With Bolivar's leadership, Venezuela would eventually win its war for independence in 1823.
Guys, welcome to the Quality Leering Center. We're all leering today. You see he dropped part 2? Part 2's out, boy. They looked into the transportation stuff. And then since they were back a second time, everybody, all the Somalians recognized them. So like everywhere they go, they're just like, get out of here now. I am the captain of Minnesota now. You are not captain of Quality Leering Center.
Following the war, Bolivar's vision led to the creation of a federation known as Gran Colombia, comprising present-day Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama. However, the federation was short-lived due to internal divisions and political disagreements, and Venezuela would secede from Gran Colombia in 1830, cementing its status as a fully independent nation. Like with many of Spain's colonies, Venezuela would wage a long, protracted war for independence. But while independence was a defining moment for the South American country, it would be the discovery of vast amounts of oil that would shape the Venezuela we know today. But before we get to how oil would change Venezuela, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button. More fun geography videos are just a
1819, oil discovered. 1908 to 1935, Juan Vincent Gomez utilizes the oil. Chavez later blames Gomez's success on American imperialism. So he blames America for his opponent doing good by working with America and making Venezuela prosperous during the golden years. Well, he helped start the golden years. He's not alive during the golden years, or he's not in charge. Gomez isn't. Chavez blames his success on working with America, and then he blames Maduro blames his failures on America not working with him. So why don't you just work with America, fucktard?
Single click away.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you...
My opponent, he only did amazingly because he worked with America. I do horribly because I don't work with America. It's all America's fault. Bitch, if you work with America, you'd be doing all right. Venezuela's mega
Oil has been a huge economic resource boon for many countries over the last century or so. Countries in the Middle East such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran were able to basically fund their entire national budgets on the back of the vast amounts of oil they were able to pump out of the planet. And because these countries controlled so much oil, they were also able to create an organization called OPEC to control and influence oil prices around the world. But while OPEC member states would primarily be based in the Middle East, one of the founding members was all the way in South America, and that country is Venezuela. Venezuela would first discover oil in Lake Maracaibo on its far northeast coast in the early 1900s, but it would take a few decades until the nation would emerge as a significant
1819. Maybe it was 19. No. Maybe it was 1919. I guess it was 1919. I wrote 1819. Early 1900s, 1919. Okay. And then Juan Vincent Gomez, who is president from 1908 to 1935, during that time he discovers, utilizes, and prospers off of the oil. And then that leads to prosperity, leads to a free and fair election. And this is the cycle. You start to prosper, everybody's happy, everybody's got money, and then it's like, well, now let's start doing equality and equity. Let's give free and fair elections. You get the free and fair elections, boom, your country's booming. You got prosperity, you got freedom, you're booming. But then what happens is the freedom goes so far that some people don't want to earn anything. They just want to be lazy bastards or criminals, and they want the government to take care of them. They want handouts. They want socialism. And then eventually they're like, we don't need the government at all. We'll just do it again, which digresses back to the beginning where we started, where we have no foundation and everybody's starving and we're miserable and we got to fight through it. It's the hard times create blah, 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 blah. You know, it's that whole bit. But it's true. It's cyclical.
Player in the global oil industry. By the 1930s, Venezuela...
Oh, did I get a raid? Did I miss a raid? Mike pushed me here. Shout out, Mike. I don't see the little raid alert thing, but hey, thank you, Mike. Mike Ball, let's go. I like that guy. He's cool. And he's active politically. I like that a lot. I can't really do that because I'm a criminal. but I respect it. Well, I guess Trump's a felon and he's president, so, you know, he's a sign of hope for all of us out there. What up, cut? What up, cut? Is it lower? It is lower quality. However, most of our refineries in the U.S. are made to refine it. Well, they can, but I don't think they're made to. That's why at the press conference with Trump the other day, he had like a lot of the big companies, Chevron, Exxon, stuff like that, BP. But then he also had some smaller companies there who specified in this type of thing. You may be right that all the companies have the ability to do it, but it's not their primary focus. So it's not what they put a lot of money and infrastructure into refining that. Also, we don't need that here because we're not going to be refining it here. We're going to be refining it there. So, and they're going and they're building and they're investing. According to Trump, it's not taxpayer dollars. These businesses, these oil businesses, BP, Chevron, Exxon, and then these companies who specialize in refining this type of oil, they're going down there to Venezuela and they're all investing. Some of them as much as $100 billion they're investing. And then I'm sure they'll get some grant money. The press was asking about government protection and things like that. And Trump's like, these are roughnecks. Like, these are wildcats. These are not soft boys. They're not young, sweet boys. They'll handle themselves. They'll have security. They'll take care of it. But they're going to go down there and they're going to invest their own money into it. And I'm sure that it's going to be a wise investment. So, much love, JS. You can absolutely be a felon and be involved in politics and become president, right? So are you saying there's a chance? Are you saying I could be a president one day?
would become one of the largest oil...
We'd have to scrub the internet hard.
oil exporters in the world, with the highest per capita gross domestic product in Latin America. Much of this is due to the oil and significant investment the resource brought from foreign oil companies. But the influence of foreign companies in Venezuela's oil industry generated backlash.
Oh, they got butthurt. Their economy boomed for what, 40 years?
over time, leading to the nationalization of the oil industry in 1976. After
Okay.
seizing control of the country's oil, the government would establish
He just skipped a huge chunk of time. He just skipped the whole Venezuela golden age. So under Juan Vincent Gomez, who strikes deals with Shell first and foremost, and BP and Chevron, then shortly thereafter, within a couple years, they're having elections. They have democracy. They're doing free and fair elections. Hold on. Perez Jimenez becomes a bit of a dictator, a nationalist dictator. He's an anti-communist dictator. He gets forced to leave. So they have like a little backslide, and that's to be expected. The pendulum's always swinging. They have a little bit of backslide, but it's not a commie dictator. It's basically an authoritarian leader. But he is coming in through the free and fair elections. They get him out of there. Then they come up with the Punto Fijo agreement, which has 4, I guess you'd say, tenets: democracy, but no commies. Free and fair elections, but no communist party allowed. Essentially, they had 3 parties. I forget the name of the 3 parties, but no commies. Otherwise, these 3 parties, we have votes and we elect a person from one of these 3 parties, but the commie party is not allowed. No commies allowed. The 4 tenets are: 1, they recognize election results. You don't get to deny election results. They recognize the election results. They exchange power. 2, this would prevent single party hegemony. This prevents there being one party that takes over forever. Hegemony. 3, this is a sharing of power between the 3 parties. And then 4, a sharing of wealth. Now, I think that means between the 3 parties. It doesn't mean socialism, like sharing it with all the people. But basically, it makes the parties more equal. Kind of like America, we have the 2-party system. Of course, one party is going to be at the top, but there's some balance there between the Democrats and the Republicans. Venezuela had this from 1958 through the 1970s. And while they had this Punto Fijo agreement, they had their golden ages. That was the Venezuela golden ages from 1958 to 1970. Really, even so, under Perez, all the way back from once they found oil, the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, Venezuela's doing all right. And it's because they're working with America. OPEC comes in the 80s, fucks up the whole oil thing. Oil price crashes. And that's when the El Carazo and Chavez attempts 2 coup attempts to try to take over Venezuela. One from prison, fails both, but later gets elected president, and Cuba crumbles. Venezuela crumbles. It was crumbling under the guy before what's his name? I have it in my notes somewhere. Perez forced to leave was great. OPEC crashes. Then again, Hugo goes out of jail and wins election. Forget who he beat in the election, but once he wins the election, it's over for Cuba. Why do I keep saying Cuba? Venezuela. What the? Sir. Don't call me sir. I work for a living. I don't know what that means.
Petróleos de Venezuela, a state-owned company responsible for the exploration, production, refining, and exporting of oil in an effort to maximize its profit from the oil industry. And for a while, it seemed like Venezuela was going to become one of the wealthiest countries in the world. The oil boom of the 1970s, triggered by a surge in global oil prices due to geopolitical events such as the Arab-Israeli War and the Iranian Revolution, would bring even more money to Venezuela. And with oil revenues filling government coffers, It would lead to a period of significant economic growth for the country. The increased oil revenue enabled the government to fund ambitious development projects, expand public services, and implement extensive social programs. It was during this time that there was a marked increase in living standards, a burgeoning middle class, and an urban migration trend. At this moment in time, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in South America. Unfortunately for Venezuela, their oil fortunes would not last for long as a series of global geopolitical events and continued infighting, corruption, and mismanagement would eventually empty the country's collective pockets.
Multipolarity was the word that I was looking for earlier when I said that they all are connected through their economy, but not through their like military effort. They're not going to fight for each other, but they share an economy and they share a currency eventually. BRICS. The word I was looking for, that's called multipolarity. I couldn't remember it. So where's the thing I was looking at earlier that said that they did join BRICS, but now I can't find that. Venezuela BRICS 2025 pursued full BRICS membership. The real reason why the U.S. overthrew Venezuela. Quiet revolution. The petrodollar's existential threat. Venezuela represents an existential threat to the petrodollar system and by extension to American global power itself. Venezuela possesses the world's largest proven oil reserves, 303 billion barrels, exceeding even Saudi Arabia's 298 billion. And since 2018, Venezuela has sold 100% of its oil exports to China, with transactions settled in yuan, not dollars. Moreover, Venezuela became an official BRICS partner nation in 2024, gaining access to the bloc's alternative payment systems, development financing, and diplomatic protection. Diplomatic protection. But they won't fight for you. At least that's what they say. And what I said in my video when I talked about it years ago, I said, I think that's bullshit. I think they will fight for each other. They just say that to make it seem nice. Which means all of our enemies are like linking up. Here's what makes this particularly dangerous from Washington's perspective. Venezuela isn't just surviving outside the dollar system, it's functioning. Despite what the U.S. Treasury Department characterizes as unprecedented sanctions, Venezuela has maintained oil production, secured financing, and sustained trade relationships. It's become a living, breathing advertisement that the dollar system is optimal, not mandatory. This historic pattern is unmistakable. In 2000, Iraq announced it would accept only euros for its oil. Saddam Hussein was removed from power 3 years later. Libya's Muammar Gaddafi proposed a gold-backed Pan-African currency to replace the dollar for oil transactions. NATO intervened in 2011. Iran has sold oil and currencies other than dollars since 2012 and faces the continuous sanctions, pressure, and repeated threats of military action. The message couldn't be clearer. Abandon the petrodollar, face consequences. John Doyle was talking about this the other night too. That the petrodollar is on its way out, and Trump can only delay the inevitable, which is something I said forever too. You know, he was always only delaying the inevitable, which is kind of doomer black pillish. But again, it's cyclical. I don't see it any other way. America will crumble at some point. It's got to. And it doesn't mean, it just means maybe it'll split into two. Who knows what'll happen? I don't know. But something's going to happen. And they're saying that the petrodollar's over. And that's why we're getting to crypto, and BRICS is trying to do a similar thing. They're trying to make a replacement. Venezuela is simply the latest chapter in this pattern with one crucial difference. It has China's economic backing and BRICS institutional support. Now, this article is from 2 years ago, I think. Oh, no, this is fairly new. This is January 8th. Oh, yeah, duh, of course. No, they're talking about the... Okay, this is January 8th. I'm going to save this. Now, this source, aluminum.com. I don't know about this source, but... But I've heard people talking about this. And I was talking about it 2 years ago, so I don't think it's a nothing burger. I think BRICS is an important factor here. And it still ties to the oil. It all ties together. It's the oil, the currency, the helping of our enemies, big in our backyard, the criminals that you're sending into America. It's a whole. This is like a 5-point, and it's a 5-point argument for the legal, or for the political and legal justifications. I have 5 points, and then ethical justifications. That's probably where me and Vibe will probably end up getting into it, because I don't think he's going to want to argue with the precedents and the legal. He's going to sound like a super dumb lefty if he starts saying it's not constitutional. We didn't have constitutional approval. We didn't have constitutional approval for any of these freaking things. Sam the Banana Man did a coup. This is America, bitch. We're going to coup you. We're going to coup you. We do what we want. One way or the other. We'll do it with the CIA, or we'll do it with dang Sam the Banana Man. Dan the Sunglasses Guy. JS the YouTube streamer. We'll coup you. We'll run up in Chile. I played Risk. You are very vulnerable, Chile. You got a long-ass island with not a lot of navy. Did I say island? I said island. I meant coastline. Dang, I messed it up.
1973, Venezuela was producing and exporting 3.5 million barrels of oil per day. But by 2020, that amount had dropped to a little less than 600,000 barrels per day. This is despite the fact that Venezuela has the largest proven reserves of oil of any country on the planet, with 304 billion barrels. Put this number in perspective, if Venezuela went back to pumping 3.5 million barrels per day, it would take over 237 years for the country to run out of oil. And while the foundation of Venezuela's wealth was based on its huge oil reserves, this would unfortunately lead the country to an over-reliance on oil as a source of income. This created within Venezuela a commonly known economic effect called Dutch disease, wherein an upsurge of a singular resource leads to a strengthening of the local economy, but also makes other industry sectors less competitive. In Venezuela, the oil sector flourished, but others like agriculture and manufacturing suffered, leading to an economy that was excessively dependent on oil. And it was this lack of diversification in economy that exposed Venezuela when oil prices plummeted in the 1980s and again in the 2010s, causing an economy that was very unstable. It was this economic and social downward spiral that would pave the way for Hugo Chavez to seize power in 1998. Chavez immediately passed laws which expropriated private companies, expanded social wealth.
So this is after he just got out of jail. Remember, he was in jail for trying to coup the government, trying to overthrow the government. And while he was in jail, he tried to overthrow the government again. And then he got out of jail and he overthrew the government. But he did it legally, because he stopped talking like a commie for a little while. But then as soon as he got in, he was a commie. And everything that Venezuela and America had been fighting against with all of our CIA operations. Listen, I know people be like, oh, the CIA, they do these coups in all these foreign countries and it's all bad and so dark ops and stuff. Listen, I get it. A lot of those are fucked up. A lot of those were not justified and were wrong and we shouldn't have done it. And we're under bad leadership and I get it. But also some of them were based. Sometimes it's the right thing to do. And if you have wise leadership, you have wise authorities appointed by God, whether they know it or not, whether we know it or not, who do the right thing that needs to be done at the time and place that it needs to be done. That's right. That's the right thing to do. That's based. We had Sam the Banana Man. We had to take these we had to get these commies out of our backyard. The Don Rowe Doctrine. We got the Don Rowe Doctrine now.
Welfare programs, and increased state control over the economy. Initially, these changes were popular, but
Of course it is. Yeah, when you give somebody with a freaking no, the joke I always say is happiness metrics. You give somebody who's eating rats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, their happiness is going to be off the charts. That's how dumb happiness metrics are. Dude, my hair is crazy this morning. I just need to put a hat on. It's a warm, fuzzy hat. I don't usually wear this hat. I like to keep it crisp. Hey. Oh, I just saw that. I didn't even know this was in here. This is jsurbanadventures. It was in the hat. This is my name that he pulled out of the bucket. Dude, I swear I thought it was rigged when he pulled my name out of the bucket. He said, send a super chat and I'll throw your name in the bucket. So I sent a $5 super chat. And I said, I really just hope I win that Make Ammo Cheap Again hat. And he's like, I don't know, man. It's random. And so he's going through the prizes. He gets to the Make Ammo Cheap Again hat. Pulls my name out of the bucket. And I just found that he stuck the paper in the brim. I didn't even know that was in there. That was pretty cool. That's Tyson James. He had that in some video. And he signed it. I'll have my hat. Anyway.
the policies over time severely strained Venezuela's finances and deepened the country's dependence on oil revenues. Following Chavez's death in 2013, his successor Nicolas Maduro continued implementing these policies amidst declining oil prices, which precipitated a full-blown economic crisis. By the mid-2010s, Venezuela was grappling with hyperinflation, critical shortages of basic goods, a collapse of public services, and a drastic surge in poverty rates. This economic crisis, one of the worst in recent history, triggered a mass exodus, with millions of Venezuelans fleeing their homeland in search of better opportunities.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app.
I need to figure out what I'm going to read next. Here, I'm going to put a poll in chat. Did I just pull the cord? No. Poll in chat. While I'm still reading the Bible, of course. Basic economics, the art of war. The Dhammapada is a Buddhist book, just so I can learn a little bit about Buddhism. Or finish the Quran. One day I gotta finish the Quran. If I don't want to debate a Muslim about like Islam versus Christianity until I've read the full Quran. I'll debate a Muslim about other topics. This is what I told Easy. I was like, I'll debate a Muslim about. Here's my two topics that I would debate a Muslim about. First one, Christians are the most persecuted people in all of the history of the world. And I think Muslims would say that Muslims are the most persecuted. And then I would proceed to say, that's stupid. Second topic, Islam is the most violent religion in the world. Or most dangerous. I don't know how you would word it. But those are the two topics. And I would take Christianity is better for the West. Or Christianity is better for society than Islam. But I wouldn't want to have a theological, like doctrinal, or not doctrinal, but scriptural thing with a Muslim until I fully read the Quran. But that's why it's in here. Don't be like, is JS going to become a Muslim? I don't even know how to spell it. Because I have read about a quarter of it, and it's not that big, so I can read it quick. But I want to study it. Oh, or can I add one more? I also have that Descartes book. Anyway, we'll put these in there. Basic Economics is by Thomas Sowell. The Art of War is from Sun Tzu. The Dhammapada is a Buddhist book to learn about Buddhism. And then the Quran is to one day debate Muslims. I say one day. It's not that far off. I'll debate them now, but I'd like to be more knowledgeable if I'm going to do a theology debate with them. You know. Anyway. Sorry, guys. I'm distracted. I think basic economics, so far basic economics is 100%. I think that's what I want it next to. That's kind of my choice. That's why I put it in there first. And then the Art of War. I really want to read the Art of War, but why can't I hear anything?
The industry still accounts for about 95% of all export revenue from the country. This means that Venezuela still hasn't diversified itself enough to ensure a more stable economy. This, combined with the economic policies enacted by Venezuela's current president and sanctions issued on the country by the United States and other Western European countries, has led to hyperinflation rates north of 3,000%. To put this in perspective, the US, which has been suffering from high inflation over the last year, has averaged around 8 to 10% inflation. And this has led to a huge exodus from the country. In 2015, Venezuela had approximately 30.1 million people. But by 2020, that number had fallen to 28.4 million people. Since 2015, Venezuelans have fled to over 90 countries to escape the economic collapse. Between 2015 and 2017, Venezuelan immigration...
I knew there was no vowel before the R. It's just Quran. I always think there's an A or an O there. I think there's different ways to spell it too.
Increased by 1,388% in Chile, 1,132% in Colombia, 1,016% in Peru, 922% in Brazil, 344% in Argentina and Ecuador, 268% in Panama, 225% in Uruguay, 104% in Mexico, 38% in Costa Rica, 26% in Spain, and 14% in the United States. The good news in all of this for Venezuela is that the country does seem to have stabilized a little bit. Since 2021, Venezuela's economy has stopped contracting and has begun to grow again. But while that's great for everyday Venezuelans, it will take a long time for the country to emerge from the deep, oil-filled hole it's dug for itself. Venezuela is a tragic example of a country over-relying on a single resource to support its economy. While oil might seem like a boon to a country's pocketbook, not accounting for climate change, it ultimately led to a Venezuela that is poorer today than any of its nearest neighbors. I hope you enjoyed learning more.
Choose from thousands of realistic voices to use in your content.
Venezuela, rich in oil but battered by economic crisis, has formally asked to join BRICS. This is more than a diplomatic move. It's a direct
S is South Africa, not Saudi Arabia.
Challenge to the Western-led world order. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, already wields enormous economic power. Adding Venezuela with the world's largest oil reserves would boost the bloc's energy influence. For years, the US dollar has dominated oil trade, but BRICS is pushing to use its own currencies. Venezuela's entry could accelerate this, threatening the dollar's supremacy. For President Maduro, BRICS membership is about breaking US sanctions and ending isolation. It offers new trade partners, investment, and diplomatic protection. This is a geopolitical chess move, not just an economic one. The US has long seen Latin America as its backyard. Venezuela's pivot to BRICS, backed by Russia and China, challenges that doctrine. It brings great power rivalry to America's doorstep. The US must now rethink its regional strategy in a world where power is more divided. The stakes are high. Venezuela's move could redraw alliances across Latin America and beyond. This isn't just about oil or sanctions. It's about who shapes the future global order. As Venezuela seeks new allies, the world watches to see if BRICS can truly rival the West. The outcome could shift the balance of power for decades. That's why Venezuela's BRICS bid matters. The US has ramped up its military presence in the Caribbean, officially to fight drug trafficking. Navy warships and special forces now patrol near Venezuela's coast. The timing, however, suggests a message to Caracas and to Moscow and Beijing. Many analysts see this as more than a drug war. It's a show of force. The US wants to remind Venezuela and its allies that it won't tolerate threats in its hemisphere. Supporters argue Venezuela is a narco state, justifying a strong military stance. Critics warn this could be a prelude to intervention or spark conflict with Russia and China. Every US ship movement is closely watched, raising tensions. For Venezuelans, the sight of US warships stirs fears of invasion. For Russia and China, it's a test of their commitment to Venezuela.
And they failed.
The Caribbean.
And they failed. They failed. Russia and China failed. To have Venezuela's back. We blackbagged their leader and they didn't do nothing about it.
Is now a potential flashpoint, where a single misstep could escalate into global crisis. The US presence is about more than drugs. It's about power, deterrence, and influence. This standoff is a reminder that great power competition is back, and it's closer to home than ever. The risk of miscalculation is real, with consequences that could reach far beyond the region. The world is watching every move. In this high-stakes game, the margin for error is razor thin. The US military's actions are shaping the next chapter of the Venezuela crisis. The question is, who will blink first? As US pressure mounts, China and Russia are doubling down on support for Venezuela. Russia sends military advisors and maintains...
This is a damn AI video.
Venezuela's advanced weaponry. Russian warships and bombers make high-profile visits, signaling Moscow's commitment. China, meanwhile, is Venezuela's economic lifeline, providing loans repaid in oil and investing in key industries. This partnership keeps Venezuela afloat, despite US sanctions. Joint military exercises with Russia boost Venezuela's defenses and send a deterrent message. Russian bombers landing in Caracas are a direct challenge to US influence. China's economic backing ensures Maduro's government survives. Together, Russia and China create a shield, military and economic, that frustrates US efforts at regime change. This alliance turns Venezuela from a regional issue into a global standoff. Every move is now part of a larger contest between superpowers. The stakes have never been higher. Russia and China defend Venezuela not just with arms and money, but on the diplomatic and media fronts. At the UN, they block resolutions against Maduro, arguing for sovereignty and non-intervention. Their vetoes prevent further isolation of Caracas. State media like...
Of course they argue for non-intervention because they're multi... what was the word we said? Anyway, that word... They're not going to actually have their back in a fight. They use the media... They speak at conventions on behalf of them, but they're not going to fight for them.
Like our...
When they showed that, we just walked up in there and grabbed Maduro. None of these BRICS nations did anything to have their back. No retaliation. No threats of retaliation. And now our enemies are afraid again. We just made the world afraid again.
RT and CGTN broadcast pro-Venezuela, anti-U.S. narratives worldwide. They blame U.S. sanctions for Venezuela.
Discuss comparing war and battle. I don't think this was a war. I don't even think this was a battle. I think it was an It was an operation. They ran in there, they grabbed him, they got out. It was cheap, it was effective, minimal loss of American life. I'm seeing from Venezuelan intelligence 100. I don't know if it's 100 Venezuelan casualties. Okay. Cuba is saying 32 Cuban soldiers died in that attack. And I'm not even going to call it an attack. I'm going to call it an operation. Cuba's saying 100 people died total. 32 of those are Cuban soldiers. I don't know how many are Venezuelan military. But let's say high end. Let's say high end, 68 of them were Venezuelan citizens. That's sad. That sucks. And this is one argument he might make. He might pull the Christian pious guy. I'm a Christian, but I don't get my politics involved in it. And Jesus said, war is bad, and don't go to war, and don't kill people. Killing people's bad. People died in that attack. Therefore, this is unjustified from a Christian perspective. And I'd say, Jesus is God, right? And he'd say, yeah. And I'd say, you're not a dispensationalist, right? And he'd say, yeah. And I'd say, so it's okay if I go to the Old Testament for just a moment. Is that okay? Well, the new covenant, that's not the same. No, well. Oh, wait. Jesus is God. Let's just jump to the Old Testament for a moment and see if war is never justified. You're going to have a hard time convincing me. And I can go to the New Testament too. This is like, this could be like a Mosman type debate about authority and Christianity and politics and all that sort of thing. Maybe that's the vibe. I don't know where he's going to come from. So I'm totally, I wanted a lefty. I wanted a hard left, atheist, leftist, communist, commie pinko. And I thought I had one in First Amender, but that little bitch backed out.
As hardships and frame the crisis as Western imperialism. This information war shapes global opinion, especially in the global South. Russia and China promote a multipolar world, challenging U.S. dominance. Competing narratives make a peaceful solution harder to reach. The battle for Venezuela is fought with headlines as much as with ships.
Creating custom clothing labels with TapStitch is easy. Go to your
See, all my ads are like making clothes and stuff.
branding tab, choose your label size and background, upload.
Venezuela's BRICS.
Dude, that ad algorithm is crazy. Just for like 2 days, I've been looking into making some merch, and I signed up on that Printify thing. There might be better ones, though. I don't even know. I haven't figured out how to do all that yet. I'd like to not pay a monthly fee for the store, but I guess if that's what you have to do for the storefront, even if I could sell one shirt a month, it'd be worth it. And just get to make up cool shirts, and I'll buy 'em myself. I can get them and wear them.
Bid has split Latin America. Left-leaning governments like Brazil support it, seeing a chance to counter U.S. influence. They hope BRICS can offer new financing and autonomy for the region. U.S.-aligned countries like Colombia and Ecuador are alarmed, fearing a stronger Maduro regime and more instability. The migration crisis and border tensions add to their concerns. The debate exposes deep ideological divides between pro-U.S.
I need to just set it all up during a stream one night. I need to get somebody in here who knows how to do all that stuff, and just we walk through it in a stream. I know it'd be a boring stream, but that's the way I get shit done. Because if I'm going to be sitting here trying to figure this stuff out, I might as well be live when I'm doing it. I want to just sit here by myself and figure all this out. It's another thing I got to figure out how to do. I can't just sit in front of a camera and talk. I got to figure out how to do damn Stream Elements, StreamYard, Streamlabs, OBS, freaking technology, build a computer, microphone, interface, MXL versus XLR, and interfaces and camera specs and freaking resolution and bit rate and damn gotta get a damn PhD to stream. What in the world? Thank God for AI. I could just, just do it, get AI to do it. I'm still making my own thumbnails, guys. But actually, the thumbnail I have now, that picture is made by AI. But I put it in a thing and did the borders and the words and stuff. Lord.
US and pro-BRICS visions for Latin America. For many, Venezuela's defiance is a source of pride. For others, it's a warning. The region is forced to choose sides in a new global power struggle. The consequences will shape Latin America's future. In the US, Venezuela...
You can help me. But I gotta set up all the accounts and stuff. That's...
Venezuela's crisis has become a partisan flashpoint. Hawks demand tougher action, even military options to counter...
I need to set up my accounts and use a different password. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust you that much, Auntie, to give you... If I could, if I give you a way to go into the accounts and mess with stuff, but I don't know. That might give you access to my dang money. I don't know. I'll set up all the accounts and stuff. I just need help with the ideas. You got to find a... Are you paying for that app that you're using to make those pictures? Because it's like you're using that one app that makes everything like a cartoon. Is there a way to make different things that look more like... I don't know, different. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked.
To Russia and China and restore democracy. They see BRICS as a direct threat to...
I'm thinking about merch, y'all. I'm thinking about merch. Up on the perch, making some merch. What kind of tree is this? I think it is a birch. If I have a problem with you, I will be smirch. I don't know what else rhymes with. I had a cousin. His name was Lurch. I had to pray, so I went to the church.
The U.S. security. Others argue sanctions have failed, pushing Venezuela closer to America's rivals and worsening the humanitarian crisis.
Oh, okay.
They call for diplomacy and lifting...
Yeah, I like it for those two. But I think the one with the tent by the city, the skyline, that one needs to look a little like not futuristic, but more like modern. You know, the one with the tent with the skyline behind it? Yeah, the dinosaur one's perfect. The grid one is good too. But also the tent one is cool, but I'm thinking something different for that. Like that, but more modern looking. Less cartoony, more gritty. More modern, gritty looking. A little more realism. I don't know how to explain it. And then that one, I think you just have the picture on the front with the tent in front of the city skyline. And then on the back, it just says, quote, "When the grid goes down, you're all dead to me. -JS Urban Adventures," in like a like a basic text, just like, times, just like a typewriter text. Anyway, you can rewind that and play it again to hear everything I just said if you want. You don't have to do any of this, but throwing ideas. I'm thinking out loud. Urban grunge. Yeah, urban grunge. Yeah.
Broad sanctions. The debate reflects a deeper uncertainty about America's global role. Should the U.S. police the world or focus at home? Public opinion is split. Some fear another foreign intervention. Others demand a strong response. This division makes a consistent policy difficult. Venezuela has become a test case for the future of U.S. leadership. Venezuela is cementing its alliances with Russia and China through sweeping new deals. China is investing in oil, infrastructure, and technology, making its presence permanent. Russia is negotiating new arms.
I'm telling you guys, Greenland, ignore everything they say in the press conferences, ignore what Trump says, ignore everything. Well, he's saying it, and Elon has said it. They've said it, but they're just not saying it directly. But they've said it before, and they've hinted at it, and they've talked about it. When he says Greenland is he just said it in a press conference, I think yesterday. He said, and I don't remember exactly what he said, so I'm going to say it in my own words. But he said the reason Greenland is such an integral piece to America, and the reason that China and Russia can't get it, and they will if we don't, is because it's a strategic military location. Nothing about oil. Nothing about economy, militarily strategic. And he even mentioned looking at starts with a D, Deutschland, Denmark. He even mentioned Denmark. Like Denmark's on the list. Like, we're coming for Denmark next. After we get Greenland, Cuba, Colombia, Venezuela, Canada, we're coming for Denmark. He did drop Denmark in there the other day. I was like, what? Dude, he's wildin'. Trump is wildin'. Are we going full imperialism? We're taking over the whole Western Hemisphere. The Don Roe doctrine. But no, the reason for Greenland, the reason that we need Greenland, because we'd be fiending for the space. Anyway, it's about space. It's about space, guys. And he mentioned it in the same paragraph. And he's like, oh, shoot, what did he say? Anyway, he mentioned something about space and space property, space real estate. Guys, I'm not joking. When I say the next war, World War III, will be a Star War. The Star Wars, when I say the Star Wars are coming, we need that. That's another idea. Because that's something I've always been talking about, Auntie, since day one, is freaking satellites with freaking lasers on their freaking heads. The Star Wars are coming. And it's not aliens. There's a little bit of Project Blue Beam mixed in here. I think they could do something with holographics to do a fake alien invasion or fake explosions in the sky. There's a lot of things they could do with that. But really what it comes down to is satellites with freaking lasers on their freaking heads. It's laser satellites. And everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, you're talking about Jewish space lasers. Listen, dude, I was on this way before Marjorie Taylor Greene ever said anything about it. Maybe not before Alex Jones, but I came up with this on my own just from paying attention. 2 weeks before Hawaii happened, and it's saved on my Facebook. It's on my Facebook. If you find the date of Hawaii and go search my Facebook, go back to that date and start scrolling back. 2 weeks before Hawaii, I said, just wait till governments start lighting cities on fire with lasers. And I forget what else I said. And then 2 weeks later, Hawaii happens. Now, am I saying Hawaii was a laser? Kinda. But do I think a blue roof saved people? No. I think what it is was they're trying to make a solar panel array the size of Texas. They gather, I forget the technical terms for it, but I used to know them off the top. But basically, they're gathering solar energy and beaming it down into these receivers. But this stuff is very new and untested, and it overloads the receivers and generators explode and it starts fires. And it happened in LA, not the Palisades fire, but they blamed it on the homeless people. It was like 2 years before the Palisade fires. And then Hawaii, same situation, I believe, allegedly, conjecture, speculation. But anyway, the next war, World War III, is going to be a space war, and that's why militarily Greenland is a strategic position, because I don't know if it's something to do with its the tilt of the Earth on its axis and where Greenland is located, maybe the thickness of the Van Allen belt, maybe the thickness of the atmosphere there. There's all sorts of things that play a part. But Greenland is an integral place for space exploration and space stations and space forces. And a lot of missiles launch up to space from there. And that's why we want it, because between Space Force, SpaceX, and then there's another one, NASA. There's another one, NASA. Between NASA, Space Force, and SpaceX, our military branch, our political would be the NASA, the military would be the Space Force, and then Elon's SpaceX is our technocratic, our technology related branch. We want to own space, and that means the area around Earth. It also helps us with the Golden Dome, which will be a space-based weapons defense system. So that's why we need Greenland, to set up the Iron Dome, to take over space, to have the satellites, to have the space stations, to project our Golden Dome missile defense system over our country in the same way Israel does on a smaller scale. We're going to do it on a way bigger scale, and we need space dominance for that. That's what Greenland's for. Mark my words. Write it down. I'm right. You're wrong.
Deals and may establish a logistical outpost for its Navy and Air Force. These moves aim to make Venezuela sanction-proof, bypassing the US dollar and Western markets. New payment systems and direct trade with BRICS members are in the works. If successful, Venezuela could become a model for other sanctioned states. But this strategy risks new dependencies on Beijing for the economy, on Moscow for security. Caracas is betting survival outweighs the risks of becoming a junior partner. The outcome will shape Venezuela's future and could shift the global balance. The world is watching this high-stakes gamble. Venezuela's BRICS bid is a gamble with global consequences. Success could bring investment, stability, and new legitimacy for Maduro's government, but it will provoke a stronger US response, more sanctions, more pressure, and a risk of confrontation. The Caribbean could become a permanent arena for great power rivalry. Venezuela's fate is now tied to the world's shifting power structure. If BRICS expands, it signals a new era of multipolar competition. The world could become more divided, making cooperation on global challenges harder. Venezuela's story is a symbol of the changing world order. Its outcome will shape not just Latin America, but the future of global politics. That's why what happens in Venezuela matters to everyone.
This one only has 151 views. It looks like another AI video. So these titles are misleading and clickbait. They did not actually join BRICS, but they were getting closer. And it was popping off on YouTube 3 months ago. 3 months ago. 9 days ago. Who's this? This one has a lot of views. The Empire Strikes Back. 9 days ago. Had the attack happened yet?
Traditional dropshipping is
I don't know
dead.
if I want to listen to these nerds. I don't know if I want to listen to these nerds. Face your book. Prison Planet 2052. Who said the next war will be fought with amazing technology and weapons of mass destruction? The Fourth World War will be fought with sticks and stones. Something like that. Yeah. That's cool, but the transparency will be changed. Wonder if you could like reverse that and have the darks be the light, be white, and then have it be see-through. You know what I'm talking about? That still looks like rustic and country-ish. You know? Like something more urban. That look like they got spaceships in the sky, though. That's pretty cool, Auntie, but I'm almost thinking like more color. You said sketch? What did I say? I said sketch? I wanted it to be a sketch? I don't remember that. I don't know what I said.
What we need to do is register with...
Oh, not like a sketch. Did I say sketch? I don't remember. I don't know.
And by Dr. Pietro Shakarian, a lecturer in history at the American University of Armenia in Yerevan. Pietro, welcome back.
Pascal, it's a pleasure to be on your show once again. Thank you for having me. And Happy New Year, too. By
Happy New Year to you as well.
These guys are nerds. I don't know what these guys are talking about. What do I got to look into now? We looked at the death toll. I see the arguments. Okay. I want more on the criminal scent. Oh, I know what I was doing. This. Copy. Let me try something real quick. Congressman flew PolitiFax, Florida fact check. So there's fact checks. DHS confirms that Venezuela empties prisons and sends violent criminals to our southern border. President Trump warned us about this years ago. From PolitiFact, Republicans have praised for whatever since news taxpayer fly 2 planes of Venezuelan asylum seekers from Texas to Florida. Oh, the Martha Vineyard stunt. Those were Venezuelans. Meanwhile, in Congress, some GOP lawmakers have raised flags about Venezuelan immigrants in the southern border, citing an alleged Department of Homeland Security report saying the Venezuelan government is sending prisoners to the southern U.S. border. DHS confirms, blah, blah, blah. Troy Nehls, Congressman Pfluger, Troy Nehls, DeSantis. So lots of people in government are talking about this. A few days later, Troy Nehls is sending a letter to Homeland Security. Alejandro Mayorkas requesting more information on the intelligence report. Letter claims the lawmaker's letter says it has been widely reported the Venezuela regime under the control of Nicolas Maduro Moros is deliberately releasing violent prisoners early, including inmates convicted of murder, rape, and extortion, and pushing them to join caravans heading to the United States. However, it cites only one article from the politically conservative website Breitbart. A Fox News story about DHS report cites the same Breitbart article. So we're pointing to a Breitbart article. Let me find the Breitbart article. Got it. Got it here. Okay, I'll pull that up in a second. Breitbart story. So we got Fox, Breitbart, and Breitbart is referencing Epic, and of course they hate Epic. Breitbart's story relies on a source within Customs and Border Protection who is not authorized to speak to the media. The story vaguely describes the DHS report. Other conservative information outlets such as the Epic Times and the Center Square have also cited Breitbart's article. PolitiFact reached out to Nell's office asking for evidence, a copy of a report. Prove him wrong. Taylor Holsey, Nell's communications director, responded. PolitiFact did not find any evidence supporting the claim. They also did not find any evidence to debunk the claim. So read the full story, radio interview. So all they're saying is they couldn't confirm it. Fox reported on it. Epic Times reported on it. Breitbart, and they're all citing a Breitbart article. I have the Breitbart article here. But dude, I know this happened. You can't memory hole me on this. You can't memory hole me on this. It's not going to happen. Exclusive: Venezuela empties prison, sends violent criminals to U.S. border, says DHS report. A recent Department of Homeland Security intelligence report received by the Border Patrol instructs agents to look for Venezuelan inmates released from entering the U.S., according to a source within CBP. The report, reviewed by Breitbart Texas, indicates the Venezuelan government, under the leadership of Nicolas Maduro Moros, is purposely freeing inmates, including some convicted of murder, rape, and extortion. The intelligence report warns against the free prisoners have been seen with migrant caravans traveling from Tapachula, Mexico, toward the U.S.-Mexico border as recently as July. The source, not authorized to speak to the media, told Breitbart Texas the move is reminiscent of a similar action taken by Cuban director Fidel Castro during the Mariel boat lift in the 1980s. The report does not state whether the released prison inmates were traveling as a cohesive group, but does state it was commonly shared knowledge among migrants traveling to the United States within a caravan in July that many of the Venezuelan migrants in the group were convicts and included hardened criminals. This is when the trains were coming over the border. I did multiple shows about this. So I know this happened. And I hate when I bring up stuff that I know happened and I talked about it. I reported on it. And then they're like, what's your source? And then you try to find a damn source and it's like playing whack-a-mole. So Fox, Epic, all of them were sourcing this Breitbart article. And they're saying they can't prove or disprove this Breitbart article. But I trust Breitbart's reporting just as much as I trust CNN's or PolitiFact's. Of course, PolitiFact is going to and PolitiFact didn't even deny it. PolitiFact just said we can't confirm it. That's all they said. They didn't say it was false. Now, I know at the time I was watching people like Fleckis Talks, and I was watching people who were down on the border, walking up and down the border, streamers who were going there, and man-on-the-ground interviewers, because that's the stuff that I like. And I was watching it, and they were interviewing people, and they were talking to them, and we saw it with our own eyes. So we know they were on the roofs of trains, hanging out the sides of the trains, and most of them were coming from Venezuela. A lot of them were coming from Venezuela. They're coming from El Salvador before they had Bukele. El Salvador was a mess too. A lot from Guatemala, but not so much. Mainly that golden triangle, that Venezuela, El Salvador, I think it's Mexico and Cuba, or those countries. Colombia, Cuba, Venezuela. Not so much Brazil, but there was probably some from Brazil and Guatemala, and not that Guatemala is great, but you know, I had some insider information on Guatemala. Argentina's not so bad. So anyway, this is not debunked. They're just saying there's not enough evidence to prove it. I would add on top of this videos that I saw and footage that I saw from the border, interviews with people at the border, reports from Border Patrol agents at the time. There's plenty of evidence that, and I did stories reading about how many people he let out of his prisons. We showed videos of the prisoners took over one prison, and then they ended up just emptying the prison. This happened. Don't let the media and Google memory hole you on this. And I'm not going to let them memory hole me on it. And that's one of my main points in this debate is they were not sending their best. They were sending criminals. and people who know how to cook drugs, make drugs, sell drugs, organize gangs, rape, murder, all that. They were sending them to the U.S. to destabilize our country and skipping on our sanctions by working with our enemies, doing the shadow fleeting, which I still need to. I looked into it the other night, but I was pretty drunk, so maybe we'll look into shadow fleeting right now. I think I have it in here somewhere already, but 4 days ago, UK ready to tighten chokehold on Russia's shadow fleet, what it means for global shipping and geopolitics. London ramps up sanctions enforcement to block Russia's sanctioned tankers, raising stakes for global shipping and geopolitical tensions. The United Kingdom has signaled its. This is from. There was a more reliable article. The United Kingdom has signaled its intent to tighten its grip on Russia's so-called shadow fleet, a network of tankers and cargo ships that have continued operating despite sanctions imposed in response to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. So basically, it's ships that are just keep doing what you're doing, don't get caught. We're not paying. We're gonna do it underground railroad boats. The move reflects the UK's broader strategy to limit Moscow's ability to profit from global trade while sending a strong signal to allies and adversaries alike. International maritime law and sanctions will be enforced. Understanding the shadow fleet. The term shadow fleet refers to vessels that circumvent sanctions through tactics such as renaming ships, changing flags, or engaging in ship-to-ship transfers at sea. These vessels have become a lifeline for Russia, particularly in the energy sector, enabling Moscow to export oil and gas even as traditional buyers face restrictions. Analysts estimate that the shadow fleet is worth billions of dollars in annual revenue, making it a key component of Russia's economic resilience in the face of Western sanctions. The UK's lightening measures. The UK officials have made it clear that existing sanctions enforcement will be strengthened with a focus on monitoring and intercepting shadow fleet operations. Measures may include enhanced surveillance of shipping lanes used by sanctioned vessels, closer coordination with international partners, including NATO allies and EU members, to track ship movements and prevent sanctions evasion, legal tools to seize ships or freeze assets connected to the shadow fleet. A senior UK minister commented, Homeland Security identifies man shot in the leg. We'll talk about that on Monday. Freeze assets, connection to shadow fleet. UK minister commented, "We are determined to ensure that Russia cannot evade accountability. Our chokehold is set to tighten, and we will take action against any vessel attempting to flout international rules. Implications for global shipping." Okay. And enemy alliance, oil, drugs, prisoners, and criminals sent. Shadow fleets with Russia. Shadow fleeting. Ship-to-ship transfers, changing flags. Hold on, I'm going to find something to play. We'll go back to the Teriyaki and vibe debate while I write some things down about the Shadow Fleet stuff.
One sec, Vibe. Like, what you need to explain is the FBI done something undemocratic, and they knew what they were doing was wrong.
I'm just worried that studying the history and the maritime law and the military law and the constitutional law and the Genevieve Convention, studying all these things may be pointless in this debate. I don't know Vibe enough. I don't know what approach he's going to take. But studying all this could be pointless because he could just concede like, yeah, legally, militarily, politically, it was the right thing to do. But in God's eyes, it's not good because people died. And in which case, if he goes that route, then I'm going off the cuff. And okay, if you want to get into like metaphysics and metaethics and weird philosophy with me, I play dumb a lot, but we could do that. We could do that, but I'm gonna twist your brain up, buddy. A lot of people. Never mind. All right. One more beer. I usually don't drink on Thursday mornings before I go to bed. But I wanted to sit here and get this done. Which I didn't even start writing my opening yet, but that's fine. Once I get all my research to where I'm satisfied and I know where I'm coming from, I can knock that out pretty quick. I'll probably do that tomorrow morning while we hang out.
And they still done it anyway. Number one question, where did that come on? Who has that command? Where's the public accountability for that wrong call? And number two, where's the democratic process here?
Well, I mean,
because you're literally acting against a current president. You're influencing.
This is actually good because based off of how he answers this question, I want to know if the democratic process is even important to Vibe. Because like if you bring up, for a leftist, of course I'm going to bring up everything Venezuela was doing was non-democratic. You support democracy. You don't want the downfall of democracy. You want to protect people who are in weak situations, blah, blah, blah. This is why it was ethical for you as a leftist. This is why you should see this as an ethical thing, because it's better for democracy. But I don't know if Vibe really cares about it. Because if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, fuck democracy. I don't care. That's not an argument.
An election against the current president.
And I conceded to that 100% in my opening statement. I'm not going to say there's not corruption, that there's not rogue agents, there's not people, bad actors out there, but we have a system in place that catches them. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here telling me and explaining all these bad things that we did. We have agencies that oversee this and see it. The deep state would be a group that actually exists without actually getting caught.
Why?
Because otherwise it's just politics as normal. Okay, so let me lay this out for you really simple. If we don't count Lockheed Martin and space agencies and all these organizations that are not affiliated with the government, we have 2 million, just in the United States, we have 2 million federal employees, all unelected, right? Now, if you actually add in the contractors and you add in all these affiliates and NASA. And
you know, the problem with the Star Wars merch, Auntie, I might get sued by Disney. They're like, you can't put, I wonder how you could do it. The Star Wars are coming, and it's like a satellite with a laser versus a satellite with a laser. Then there's another satellite shooting a laser at Earth, and there's explosions all over Earth. And it's like the Star Wars are coming. But if it said it like and then Star Wars, like the letters of Star Wars, but it can't be the same because that would be, they don't like anybody using anything. That would probably get taken down off of the website, off the sales website. But if it said the Star Wars are coming, but it looked similar to the Star Wars letters, but different, I don't know if that would fly.
And Lockheed Martin and things like that. Now we're actually getting into like almost 10 million, 20 million. I actually have to look up the number. maybe chat can let us know. But we're talking about a lot of people that are working for the government. Now, can you
I ain't never read a chat in my life during a debate.
control? Let's just exclude all the external agencies. Can you control a postal worker from not like murdering a bunch of people? Is he deep state when he goes against the president? Is the president accountable for that?
Digital realistic, is that a thing? I don't know. I wanted to look more realistic. But realistic, modern, grungy. Urban, what'd they say? Urban grunge. But also, I don't freaking know, Auntie. I can't say what I'm picturing in my head. I just gotta start drawing stuff. But then it's like you draw it. What am I gonna do? I gotta scan it. I gotta get a scanner. I think I actually have a scanner in my living room. It probably wouldn't be that hard to hook it up. I'd have to find drivers for it because it's old as shit. Basic Action is a great book. Oh, Basic Econ is a great book. At least the part of it I read. Yeah, I don't even know if I'll read the whole thing front to back. I might read chunks, little by little, because that's a chunk of a book. Looks like it won. Okay. Problem is, that means I got to carry it in my backpack when I go to work because I get like an hour break and I usually just read. That means I have to carry this chunk of a book in my dang backpack when I go to work. I gotta take the nice cover off. Price controls. So you could just jump to any. Basic. It seems like simple writing though, and that's why everybody likes it. Because he keeps it in not super crazy style of writing. All right, we'll read this next. I thought I had a super chat on the screen because I saw the pink. P.S. Don't let this become a debate of proprietary definitions. Everyone knows what people mean by deep state. Don't choose it's all a deep state to be the debate. People using their delegated powers is not a deep state. Right.
That federal unelected employee? And
No,
was he
but
working for the deep state when he goes crazy and like murders a family because he's a postal worker?
Yeah, so we know we can hold that person accountable.
Yes.
Because we know what it is. But when we're talking
And
about
we
like
can
these
hold
rogue,
people accountable like
one
we
second,
did
one
for
second,
MK
real quick, real quick. When we talk about an agency that has the power to subvert an election, that's what they done.
Why waste another?
That's what they done, y'all. That's what they done. That's what they done. That's what they done. That's what they done. Yo, that's what they done. Look at this dork.
Doing like the Neo dance from Matrix with bullets, like third assassination attempt already. You know what I mean? And like we're all just acting as if this is normal behavior and all this kind of shit. You know what I mean? And it's like it's not normal. You know what I mean? And like I said, the reason why all this the reason why all this abnormal behavior is happening is because you have this rogue element that President Eisenhower was saying, the military-industrial complex. What JFK was saying is like there's too much of this secret societies going on, and this thing is going to implode essentially. And like the best way of describing it, Vibe, because like I think you're putting like you need to look at it as like amoral. It's neither immoral or moral, because like you could say it's like without the CIA, like 10 times worse shit would be going on if it wasn't if they didn't do the fucked up shit that they were doing. You know what I mean? So in terms of the whole morality argument, it's like we can throw that to the side and put that to the side at the moment. Best way to describe it is, if you ever watched the Marvel universe, particularly the Loki TV series, the TVA. You know what that is? You ever watch Marvel?
Time travel something?
Yeah,
that was something I wanted to watch. Okay, we're gonna end on one more thing. Now, did we already watch Hannity and Trump? Didn't we already watch Hannity and Trump the other day? You're a cuck. Trump global chaos debate with Dave Smith. Let's hear Dave Smith's arguments on this, actually. But I do want to...
We would go flirting with multiple wars of choice at this point. It's not left-wing or right-wing, it's just reckless.
This is actually exactly what I need, is a libertarian anti-Trump doing war take. I need to hear Dave on this. Is this Kyle Kalinske? Oh, I hate that fucking guy.
We're talking about regime change in Venezuela. The regime is still in place. What we did was depose the leader. We left the vice president in place, and we said, act in a way that is appropriate in accordance with the law and our interests, or we're going to kill you.
He just did the regime change in Venezuela. He bombed Yemen and Somalia and Nigeria and Iran. He's threatening Greenland and Panama and Canada and Cuba and Mexico. And you sit there the whole time and act like it's okay. Is there anything Trump can do, Michael Knowles, that you would say, I condemn it, and you hop off the Trump train, or are you going to tickle his taint for the rest of your fucking life?
We have a military base.
Probably if he ate an infant, like if he dismembered and ate an infant, I probably would disavow.
We have mineral connections. And so the idea of taking Greenland by force against the will of the people who live there is absolutely ridiculous. If we were to purchase it, it'd have to happen with their consent.
Michael, if you want to come on my podcast, I'll do 2 hours on the Barbary Wars with you. The point is that we're trying to talk about the 5 conflicts going on right now.
Last time President Trump faced an outpouring of...
Bunch of dang Muslim pirates. Kill them.
Angst over the apparent demise of America First, he made it very clear that it really means whatever he wants it to mean. Funny enough, it was airstrikes on Iran which triggered that debate. At the time of the recording, this looks entirely possible that recent history will be repeated. Ever since Trump became president, most foreign policy bigwigs have written many mournful op-eds and essays about American isolationism and its shriveling influence.
Listen, it's
on
called
the world.
Connect.
Now the feverish talk is of an imperial Trump building an American empire with dominion of the Americas and tentacles stretching to Tehran. So if the Donroe Doctrine, as people are calling it, means doing anything that's in the US national interest, the question is whether big interventions in Nigeria, Syria, Venezuela, Greenland, Mexico, and Iran are in fact in the US national interest. What happened to just worrying about the price of eggs? And where does it leave the many people who thought that the peace part of peace through strength really was in the US national interest all along? Well, joining me to debate all this is Dave Smith, host of Part of the Problem, Coleman Hughes, host of Conversations with Coleman at the Free Press, Kyle Kalinske, aka Secular Talk, and Michael Knowles, host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show. A truly stellar panel, even given the caliber of the stellar panels we have, which I think you were discussing with Theo Von, in fact, Dave Smith, in a complimentary way. So thank you, and Happy New Year to all of you. Dave Smith.
Hold on, you guys listen to this. I'm going to play the chair.
There's a lawn chair sitting by the water's edge.
Sun-bleached plastic cracked along the ledge. I sit and watch, though no one's there. Just an empty seat, but it pulls my stare. A Florida man, he's out raising hell, wrestling gators or dodging jail, while I keep watch on that lonesome chair. It ain't much, but it keeps me there. He's out there somewhere, wild and free, riding a jet ski through the Everglades Sea. Meanwhile, this chair, it don't move, it don't sway, but it holds all the stories he left that day. The sky turns pink, then a fiery red. The chair stays silent, but it speaks instead. A Florida man, he's out chasing storms, breaking the rules, rewriting norms. And here I sit in the humid air, guarding the secrets of that empty chair. Maybe he's fishing, maybe he's gone, maybe he's dancing till the break of dawn. This chair don't judge, it don't ask why, it just waits for him under the southern sky.
Let me start with you.
Art of War is a couple-hour read. It's a huge book. I guess, well, it's a bunch of little, like, short little quotes and stuff, but couple-hour read? What? I thought it was big. Well, mine is The Art of War and Other Eastern Books, so maybe, huh. That's a nice book, though. I can't take it to work with me in my backpack every day. Thank you for the super chat. Big super chat, $20. Let's go for the chair. All right. Hit the like button, guys. Even if you can't super chat, I appreciate the likes. Let's watch this. Some guys debating about Venezuela. This is an important part of prep, is to find any other debates you can about the topic and listen to other people, what arguments they made. I feel like Vibe, I don't know what to expect, but I feel like he's coming from like a Dave Smith libertarian, non-interventionist type vibe. No pun intended.
Welcome back to Uncensored.
Thank you.
There's a lot going on. You know, I decided to have a week off after Christmas. Big mistake. Never have a week off in the Trump administration. It seemed like all hell was breaking loose. And yet, if you park the rhetoric, which can be very incendiary on all sides, and you cut to the presumed ideology of what Trump is trying to do here, I do see the argument. I may not agree with all of it, but I see the logic of what he's trying to do and why he thinks it's in America's interest. And that applies to whether it's Venezuela and getting rid of Maduro, or whether it's the Iran situation and so on. Do you see the logic, even if you don't agree with it all?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no, I mean, Piers, it's, as you said, you know, Donald Trump can say America first means whatever I say it means, but if America first meant one thing to everybody who's ever uttered the phrase, and then he wants to change that to mean America first means regime changes all around the world, huge, enormous, unthinkable bloated defense budgets like he just requested from Congress. And if he's going to think that none of his supporters are going to have a problem with that, or that they're all just going to change their views because he decided to change his. I think he's going to find out how well that works for him in the midterms this year, and I think it's going to be a disaster.
Cooler.
And, you know, obviously it's true, Pierce, as you said, and we all know Donald Trump will say all types of crazy things and then never follow through with that. But he also just asked Congress for a $1.5 trillion defense budget. And that, to me, does indicate that he is anticipating a real deal war coming up, or at least the possibility of it. And if he means the things that he says, I mean, I don't exactly know how you do that. I don't know how you say we run Venezuela and we'll dictate who the next regime is and we'll dictate where the oil goes without at least an effort of like 100,000 troops. I'm not even sure that would be enough to do it. So
we don't need 100,000 troops for this. You're distracting me, Auntie, but yes, I like the one that I liked. That's what I was saying. Like, all these ones look like the same style, like a cartoony sketch style. And I'm saying something more because that's how the other ones kind of look. I don't know. Dude, I can make like 1 million of them. It's free to just make up designs.
It's unclear what exactly the next move is going to be, and that's really when we'll find out what he's going to do. But no, Pierce, the idea that we're 38 or maybe 39 by the end of the show $1 trillion in debt right now. We have major problems in this country, and we have a hot war raging on in Europe, which is a proxy war between the entire West and the biggest nuclear armed power in the history of the world. The idea that we would go flirting with multiple wars of choice at this point, it's not left wing or right wing. It's just reckless. There's no wisdom in it.
Michael Knowles, I guess
it's reckless. It took less than an hour, 2 hours. Let's say 2 hours to be generous. It took 2 hours. We swooped in, we grabbed him, we were out. It was cheap, it was effective, it sent a message, it was powerful, and we're gonna profit from it in every way imaginable. What do you mean getting into wars of choice? Whatever.
Argument against what Trump is doing is that many people who voted for Trump bought into the concept that what America first was take care of what.
He's a peacetime president. He's not doing what he said he was going to do. I have this wrote down as one of the main arguments. And I say, yeah, I don't want to get in forever wars. I don't want to get involved in wars with people that we don't need to be getting involved with, especially if you can handle it diplomatically, which he has done 8.25 times, according to him, but 8 times for sure. He stopped these squabbles with these other countries without having to put boots on the ground, without having to just talking to them, just striking a deal, being diplomatic. He's handled that. I'm fine with that, but not sending our troops into places. Now, if you're going to send Operation Midnight Hammer and you're going to go wipe out a nuke base real quick, okay, cool. One night, boom, it's over. What they called the 12-day war, it was more like a 12-minute war. That was not a war. These are like little operations that we're doing, and it's bettering our country. It's in our national interest. Now, if he were to say we're going to start fighting for Ukraine now, we're going to put troops on the ground, we're going to fight with Ukraine to help them to... No, that's not America first. But these situations are. There could be bad coups, bad CIA ops, and there could be justified ones.
What's happening in your own backyard and stop meddling in foreign affairs. And now they're waking up almost on a daily basis to see.
Venezuela is in our own backyard. America is our house. They are our backyard. And we can't have Russians and Chinese people playing on our swing sets. Okay? America's the home. Thank you, Wagira. We have the Tic Tac ship. Aliens aren't real, but we can unleash that Tic Tac chip if we need to. Yes, they're not called UFOs anymore. They're called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So we got Tic Tac. We got Tic Tac ships in this big bad bitch. Tic Tac chips in the big bad bitch. Yes, we got Tic Tac chips. We ain't playing with Venezuela. We're focused on Greenland because there's about to be a Star War. Star War.
Seeing Donald Trump proudly and aggressively talking about meddling in all sorts of foreign affairs. Is there a contradiction or hypocrisy or even a betrayal of voters going on here?
Not at all. First of all, Venezuela is in our own backyard, and it's been the policy of the United States in 1803 to manage the Western Hemisphere. So that that's a cornerstone of American foreign policy. I think it is charming that Dave is defining America first in the way that he prefers, and I think there are plenty of people who wish to do that. But Dave, though a very popular podcaster, never won a presidential election, and Trump has been clear on what he means by America first, the political movement that he built, that people voted for in his coalition since the beginning. President Trump.
When did they record this? He still got all his Christmas decorations up. You got to be some kind of crazy for it to be mid-January and you still got your dang Christmas decorations up. What kind of lazy sluggard is out here running around in mid-January with a Christmas? Ignore that. Ignore that. There's not a tree there. It's so bland in here when the Christmas decorations are down, huh? It feels empty.
Campaign the first time around on destroying.
I gotta box all that up anyway. Let's put it up though. I feel mean. Let's be nice to the tree.
ISIS. So obviously that does not mean that America is only going to look inward. President Trump has carried out attacks, military operations that were extremely successful in Iran, in Syria, in Afghanistan, obviously in Venezuela. He's been talking about taking Greenland and even invading America's evil top hat, Canada, though I think he's mostly joking about that one, since the beginning. So that's what that means. And what it comes down to is that America is a global empire. We just are. People can be upset
Van
about
Goku.
that, but unless you're
Yes, I do like the Van Goku.
Politics comes strictly from
need to move
Reddit.
it
You know, if your geopolitics
down and
actually comes
over.
from history, you recognize that we've been an empire since the Louisiana Purchase, okay? And we've been a muscular global empire since the Second World War. So President Trump's vision, I think, actually rejects two extremes. It rejects a conservative isolationism, and it rejects a liberal internationalism, and it posits a conservative imperialism that says that we are going to recognize our role in the world, but we are going to pursue that role in limited ways with America's interest at heart. So there's been no regime change in Venezuela. We're talking about regime change in Venezuela. The regime is still in place. What we did was depose the leader. We left the vice president in place, and we said, act in a way that is appropriate in accordance with the law and our interests, or we're going to kill you. That's very different than a Bushy-era neocon regime change in Iraq. Even when we're talking about Iran, the Trump administration has not gone in a particularly overt way yet. But even there, we would be talking about a restoration of the Pahlavi regime, most likely, that goes back to 1925. So I grant there are all sorts of risks to interventions, but we're the global empire, you know, and frankly, even the American Revolution comes out of wars of global empire. It comes out of the 7 Years' War, which itself was a derivation of the War of Austrian Succession. To pretend that we don't have a role in geopolitics is to ignore all of American history.
Okay, Carl Kalinske, I can see you grimacing through a lot of what Michael was saying there. You said Trump says the US will run Venezuela and he threatens Colombia and Mexico. Arrest this psychotic motherfucker. Before I get you to expand on that thesis, I mean, the point I was making to Dave,
shaky
if I want
cam,
to elaborate
cut
on
it out.
where I sit with this, because I've had a bit of time to look at this play out, is you look at Maduro. Everyone thought, my God, this is going to be World War III. Actually, Maduro's going to end up in a New York courtroom, and he's been got rid of. Everyone seems
Oh
to
my
agree.
God, Kyle's shaky cam is annoying the crap out of me.
That's a good thing for not just the Venezuelan people, but the world. No American troops died in what was an incredibly efficient surgical military strike to get him out of there. And
dude, this dude's like rich. He's like popular. He's got a lot of YouTube subscribers. Fix your shaky cam.
if you have a more compliant leader of Venezuela, albeit part of the same regime, that can probably only be a good thing. If you look at the argument about Greenland, for example, I'd be struck by some of the people that I didn't expect to think this was a good idea. There was a British general last week talking about this, saying that from a strategic security point of view, it would make perfect sense for America to have Greenland. And is there a deal to be done? He didn't think invading it was the right thing, and nor do I. But is there a deal to be done with 60,000 people who live in Greenland?
I like the taste of steak. He's not bald. No. Yeah. He looks like Agent Smith looking at. No, he's not Morpheus. Morpheus is cool. He's one of the dang Ghost Brothers. What are they called? The brothers? The twins?
That could actually improve.
One of the twins cut his dreadlocks off.
Improve the security of the United States and the West against the obvious threat from China and Russia and so on. And I can get
He's
to the
hitting the
others.
table
Iran.
or something. It makes it look like he's nervous, like he's shaking.
You know, getting rid of the Ayatollah and the mullahs.
He's probably on some freaking performance-enhancing drugs, some dang Adderall or some meth.
Unquestionably a good thing for the world. It's how you do these things and whether you plan and prepare properly for what follows next that I think are the debatable points. And history says that's normally, unfortunately, been very badly done. But
you guys remember Squidbillies? I'm not going to watch this whole thing. I'm going to have to watch this tonight. And I'm still doing research, but probably tomorrow morning I'll start writing my opening. And we'll just hang out. Maybe have some people jump in the Discord. Maybe we'll do a mock debate and I'll take the other side. I'll take the side to say why it's bad. What was I writing down? I wanted to write this down real quick.
But this is what I meant when I said to Dave that I understand the argument. I may not agree with all of it, but I do understand the logic to what Trump is doing here. Do you?
No, because we don't have a right to act like this around the world.
Oh
We're
my
supposed
God.
to be a
International
nation
law.
among nations, not a nation above nations.
Let's hear if he says international law, which is a made up fake bullshit term. I mean, some countries have some laws and we might have broke those, but we didn't break America's laws. But we might have broke some other country's law. And therefore we broke international law. Let's hear if he says that buzzword.
And they used to at least lie to us in the past and say that this is good for the world and we're spreading freedom and democracy. Now they don't even bother to lie. Now it's naked, rank, disgusting imperialism where they say, we're going to take the oil. And the point is that we're going to take the oil. We're going to take the minerals. We're going to take the precious metals. We're doing this for our corporations. We're doing it for the Epstein class, the billionaires. And this, to piggyback on what Dave Smith said, is frankly not what many of the MAGA voters thought they were signing up for. They thought America first actually meant America first. By the way, you also replaced the Maduro regime with the Maduro regime. Congratulations on that. It's also been now a week straight of pro-regime protests.
Michael's argument was we did not do a regime change because the same regime is there. And he said, congratulations, MAGA. You didn't do a regime change because the same regime is still there. This is a prepared opening. He's not extemporaneously speaking and responding to what Michael said. He's reading a script because he just said something that Michael already addressed.
Now you have roving gangs of Venezuelan militias that are kidnapping Americans. But again, I come back to the fundamental point, which is if you sign on to stuff like this, you're saying might makes right and the law of the jungle is back. What you're saying is China has a right to go into whatever smaller country they want and depose the leader and say we're doing it because we can and we have the right to do it and we have bigger guns and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So they're never going to address that fundamental question, which is why do we have a right? Do we actually believe in international law or was that all a joke? Are we rolling the clock back to the 1700s and the 1800s and we're going super primitive style here? And I think the answer to that is yes, they want to go super primitive style.
Today's show is sponsored by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night all-natural supplements. Thousands use the code PEERS and get 70% off your first.
The 1700s or the 20th century.
The Geneva
And of course-
Conventions, the Nuremberg Tribunal, excuse me, the Geneva Conventions and the Nuremberg Tribunal.
Yes, those
piggyback
exist,
off of World
but
War II.
international laws, the jus gentium goes back to antiquity. However,
And the
unfortunately, a
League
lot
of
of our liberal
Nations was
friends think
useless,
history
so that's why
began
we had the
a few
UN.
decades ago.
The League of Nations was useless. It fell apart, and that's why we had the UN. That's why we had the Geneva Convention.
Right, I'm talking about millennia
because we
ago,
looked
not
at
merely a
piles
century
of
ago. But
millions
it's true,
of
Woodrow
dead
Wilson
bodies,
failed
and
with
we
the
said
League of
that's a
Nations.
bad idea. We looked at piles of millions of dead bodies and said that's a bad idea. Let's not do that anymore. Let's actually have a framework and rules and laws. And Trump is blowing that up. By the way, he bombed fishing boats from Venezuela, Trinidad, and Tobago,
Oh
and
my
Colombia.
God, the
He just did the
fishing
regime change in Venezuela. He bombed Yemen and
he bombed
Somalia
drug
and
boats,
Nigeria
that's
and
true.
Iran.
He bombed
He's threatening
narco-terrorists.
Greenland
They're
and
fishing
Panama
for
and Canada
dope.
and Cuba and Mexico. And you sit there the whole time and act like it's okay. Is there anything Trump
It's
can do,
okay.
Mike?
Fishing boats, they got like $20,000 of motors. They have like 5 motors on the back of this little canoe. And it's like, it flies across the water. And it's got nothing but garbage bags and barrels in it. It's crazy. And then when the ships try to stop him and say, hey, buddy, we just want to check your fish. What kind of fish you got in there? You got your license? Nope. They just peel off. So we're like, fuck them. Boom.
Michael Knowles,
It's
that
good.
you would say, I condemn it, and you hop off the Trump train, or you get paid for the rest of your fucking life.
No, there have been plenty of Trump policies that I've criticized because he's only right about 99.78% of the time. So the First Step Act I thought
Such
was
a
a
cuck.
misstep. But I would say the
Hey, good call, Michael. I've said the same thing 100 times. First Step Back was a mistake. He appoints too many women into positions of power. He kind of fumbled the Epstein situation, but I think it was blown out of proportion anyway, and he was right about that in the end. It was another Democrat hoax to take him out and meanwhile cover up for what the Democrats are doing. And it's just a political football. What else? What was he wrong about? Oh, his freaking spiritual advisor is a freaking weirdo. Get rid of her. Get her out of there. Angels are coming right now from Africa right now. Africa right now. The angels right now from Africa right now. Hamdalala. Halalalala. Angels right now from Africa right now. Yeah, get rid of that lady. I'm sure there's other things that he's done that I didn't like.
excuse me, I would say the rest.
I didn't like the flip-flop on TikTok because the flip-flop on the TikTok because he learned how to utilize it and he got a lot of money off of it and it helped him win an election. He was like, well, this TikTok thing, the kids like it. I can use it. Maybe that's a smart move and I'm being too critical. That could be actually a really smart flip on his change. And rather instead just buy TikTok and take it over and use what the Chinese are using against us, against them, and for us. So maybe I'm not actually mad at Trump about that, but at the time I was.
Of the
Such a cuck.
the administration has been very successful. What's your problem? What's
My
what's your
problem is that
criticism?
you're a cuck and you're a hack and you're not an independent thinker and you're
Oh, good one, Kyle. These are great. You have a fucking gay-ass hoop in your ear. Oh, that's his earplug. Either way, he still looks gay as shit.
meat riding Trump.
Why do you
and
say
you
that?
know that what he's doing in
I just
imperialism
answered your
and you don't
question.
care.
I just
Yeah,
answered your question. I
99.78%.
corrected
Congratulations.
the
You rented your
misstatements that you
brain
made.
to a war criminal.
Yeah, Kyle is a loser, and he's getting destroyed on his own. Just randomly, you're a cuck. Do you even know what cuck means? What makes you think Michael Knowles is a cuck? You loser.
Pedophile, rapist. I hope you're happy.
Oh, there you go.
Criminal pedophile.
And that's why people like First Amender won't debate me. Is because if you defend Trump, you're defending a pedophile rapist, especially if it's in relation to the Epstein files. But yet, he'll debate another person who supports Trump. And it doesn't matter what he says. This is what they think. If you defend Trump, you're defending a pedophile rapist. So how is he going to debate any Trump supporters?
Pedophile rapist. Do you brought
Did
up
I
a
stutter?
point? You brought up international law, and you made a very false point, a dumb point, which is that international law began only a few hundred years ago. I corrected you, and I pointed out that the international
No,
law
you
is
didn't.
part of the Western tradition. That, excuse me one second. It goes back to antiquity. It's a principle of the jus gentium. And then you said, well, international law has failed because of the League of Nations failure, which I
He did say the international law thing, and I totally forgot about that. But yeah, he said it.
think is actually undermining your argument and proving my point and proving Trump's point, because the liberal internationalism that was established by people like Woodrow Wilson did in fact fail, which is why we need to restore an older and more classical conception of the international order, which is precisely what Trump's doing. So I think you've hoisted yourself with your own petard, and then you just make a lot of vulgar sort of non sequiturs because you don't have a leg to stand on.
All right, let me bring in.
Let me ask you this question.
Hang on,
Piers, let me ask him a question real quick. Tell me the name of the Minister of Defense in Venezuela.
I don't know. Whatever his name
Well,
is.
and that's the
Garcia
problem, is
or
that you're
Rodriguez or
advocating for a
something.
regime change. You don't know the first thing.
I didn't. I
about
just
the
said the
country.
opposite.
You're
I
advocating
argued
for the
against.
That's a stupid gotcha. That's a stupid gotcha. That's like I sit here prepping for 2 weeks for a debate, and then you come in and you're like, what's the name of da-da-da? I hate these stupid gotchas. Do you know da-da-da? It's like, come on, man. Deal with the argument. What is this, a fourth grade pop quiz?
Regime change.
He
Kyle,
actually
you have to
said
get
the
cotton out
opposite.
of your
I
ears.
heard Michael
Kyle, I just want
And I see people on both sides doing it, not just people on the left. I see people on the right doing that shit too. Do you know, fill in the blank with some random abstract thing, and just the person doesn't know it? Well, you don't know what you're talking about because I know that thing. Like, come on. Okay, I could pull something random out of my ass too that you're not going to know about the topic.
want to correct
I
something.
heard Michael
You said I'm
Knowles
arguing for a
say
regime
the
change. I
regime
disagree.
remains there, right? So he said the opposite, in fact. I want to bring in Coleman.
No, but he wanted to take out Maduro. Don't give me that cutesy little
Yes,
BS.
but he
That's
made
not
the
a regime.
point that the
You're in favor of
regime
US
is
intervention.
still. He made the point the regime is still there, and the vice president appears to be much more compliant with running Venezuela the way America would prefer for its national security than Maduro. So that's what Michael said. He didn't advocate regime change. Let me bring in Coleman
That is-
Hughes. Coleman,
Kidnapping the president is
well,
not
hang on,
regime
hang on,
change,
Carl.
it's
Let
an
me bring
attempt
in
at regime change.
Coleman hasn't said a word yet. Coleman, what's interesting about you, I think, with this is you've been, I think, striving to be quite nuanced with your take on all this stuff that's going on. And that's kind of where I found myself, is that sometimes taking a beat, looking at it from just a step away, and trying not to be too knee-jerk about all these things, often, A, can be beneficial to your mental health, but actually can probably better, I think, represent what is really going on here. You know, everyone wants to go to extremes very, very quickly about everything and take a very tribal position. I've been struck by your, I think, quite intellectually honest attempt to be more nuanced. So what do you think about all this?
Thank you, Piers. I try to not think about these issues in terms of left versus right or Trump versus the opposition, and try to take each issue on its own terms. So let's do that. Venezuela. If the policy here is actual regime change, in other words, not just decapitating Maduro and replacing Maduro with a second worst alternative, if we were to actually affect regime change in Venezuela, that would almost certainly.
But it does come down to anything's better than Maduro is what that was. And we didn't decapitate him either. I know he was being metaphorical when he said that, but it's not a good use of words there, because we didn't actually, the left is going to think that, retards are going to think that we killed Maduro and we like bombed innocent civilians all night long. And they were saying it the night that it happened. They're like, we're going to war in Venezuela. That's not what happened. The dude is probably in a nice jail right now. Maybe not. Maybe he's in like some Guantanamo style prison or something. But, like we let him wear his Nikes, his tracksuit. He was saying, Happy New Year, as he was walking in handcuffs. Like, we didn't decapitate. We didn't even hurt him or kill him or nothing. He's all right.
Only be a good thing for the people of Venezuela and for American interests. Now, if we're going to do this half measure where we just decapitate Maduro and replace him with someone just as bad and then get a bunch of oil, well, that would at best be probably neutral for the Venezuelan people. It would be an enormous waste of U.S. military resources, and I would be very critical of the Trump administration. The truth is,
what resources? It was cheap and quick. and we're going to profit off of the oil more than we spent on the military operation.
I don't know which path we're going down, right? It's very early.
Right.
We're getting different signals from Trump depending on the day, different signals from Rubio, and anyone who's confidently
trust 5 out of 5 of those
prognosticating that
people.
they know which path.
I like Michael Knowles. I know he's Daily Wire, but he's pretty based.
Path we're going down probably doesn't know what they're talking about. As for Greenland, I think the truth is Trump is extraordinarily reckless in his rhetoric here. We have a situation where we have an ally in Denmark, a NATO ally. We have deep relationships with Greenland already. We have a military base. We have mineral connections, and so the idea of taking Greenland by force against the will of the people who live there is absolutely ridiculous. Now, that said, if we were to purchase it, I think that'd be a good thing. It'd have to happen with their consent. They would have to want it.
Right.
And I would welcome them as an American, but we absolutely cannot take it by force.
Right. See, that to me, Dave Smith, is part of the interesting part of all this, is that it's how this plays out. It's what actually Trump really wants to do. If he doesn't take, for example, what China has been doing in Africa for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. It's been going around Africa pretty quietly, actually, unless you're actually in Africa. And it's been doing endless commercial deals with African countries where they go in, they spend a lot of money on infrastructure and hospitals and bridges and roads and all these things. And in return, they get access to huge amounts of minerals. And that's been going on for 20 years. And that's a kind of economic imperialism. I see no ideological difference between that and what Trump is potentially talking about with Greenland, which is clearly incredibly important strategically, from a security point of view, from a mineral point of view, and so on. And there are only 60,000 people who live there, and it may well be that they're happy to do a deal if the price is right, in which case, what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, I'll say I pretty much agree with Coleman, I guess, on that. Like, if it's voluntary, then okay. I don't really know enough about Greenland to really speak on it intelligently, but I could not disagree more with the take on Venezuela. And I think it's crazy, Pierce. I also think, it just after the last 25 years, and I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but the idea that we're just talking about regime changes in Iran and Venezuela and saying it would undoubtedly be a good thing if this regime were to fall. Well, maybe.
No, why did he just sneak Iran in there? I think we're talking about Venezuela right now, Dave. Why did you just sneak Iran in there? Would a regime change be a good thing in Iran? Doing a long, endless regime change in Iran again? No, not a good thing. But if they're killing 2,000 protesters in a night, drop a bomb on their fucking government or something. I don't care. Just, I don't know. Drone them. We got technology. Shoot a laser at them or something. I don't know. Say, calm down. And he'll do it diplomatically. He's already sent the threat. They're already afraid. They know he's not playing anymore. So, yeah, it's going to be all right. Guys, I got to go to bed. I'm going to watch this later tonight.
Important question.
Because we're only 20 minutes in. It's like 40 minutes left. So I'm going to head out, guys. God bless. Thank you for hanging out. Let me see if who else is live right now. Who else is live right now? Lasers, what the? Yeah, man, you don't know about the lasers? What'd you just get here? You don't know about the lasers? Dude, this spot makes me look like I'm going bald. I am going bald. What the? It's the dreadlocks, guys. It's traction alopecia. It's from the dreadlocks. Told you I'd watch what you write in a notebook. Notebook, don't look. Don't look in the notebook. What am I looking for? Oh, redirect. Anchor Baby. Zeb. Dude, I don't know what happened. Zeb used to have like 7 viewers, and then overnight, he's done popped off. What has he been doing over there? He's been eating his Wheaties. Got 100 viewers consistently. All right, we'll go to American Anchor Baby. Thanks for hanging out, guys. God bless you. And I will see you. I know about the lasers. Throw away the locks already. No, I need them for Juicy. All right, I got to go. Bye.